Imagine them now. Bullets ringing out across this country in every nook and cranny. Man pressing and pulling trigger without the requisite knowledge that bullets have no eye. Men shooting automatic and semi-automatic weapons as if it is cricket ball bowling in the IPL. Santa Cruz shootout. I could not even count how many bullets came out in a 30-second video. Men dying in the street, being shot. A father in Diego Martin, it appears to be, was walking with his children, and men come to kill him. The children are within 1 to 2 feet around their father. Bullets have no eye, and bandits come and just kill him. An ex-man get vexed drinking rum somewhere in Conopia, take off his jersey, girl pulling him back, but he walking across the road like it's the OK Corral with a gun in his hand, walk across 2-lane a road into a band to shoot. This is utter total anarchy, and we can't hear from Rowdy say, oh, we're a violent society, and move on to play golf. That clown. What is the plan? Then when we look downstairs in our school uniforms, we seeing boys and girls knife, wood, jumping on chair, beating teachers rolling on the ground in the gravel, fight. We seeing stomping on the back of a neck. We seeing defenseless children in uniform being battered and beaten, paralyzed and killed. Then on top of that, we get a report about the government state homes where children are abused, raped and killed. And we hear nothing from the government. So why have a government? Why do you, the people, the media, give PNM such a blight to do nothing? And then you don't care? Did you all ever stop to think? If what we are seeing now, with gunshots putting our children to sleep, is the norm, and down below in our school uniforms, girls and boys, without any distinction, beating, chopping, stone, pelting, kicking, stamping, fighting, in the school, out the school, near the school, in the road, in the junction. Think about 12 years later, under this PNM that you all are allowing to do nothing, no action. Where the comments, what has been done, where the action plan, where the crime plan, where the school anti-violence plan. You come to tell me you want a task force. All the PNM to do is make task force to sit down and talk. Abject total nonsense, and all of you media, you sit down there and allow it. A government that has allowed a country to decay to a level that we may never be able to come back from. Are we really serious in this country? What has Rowley said? What is the Minister of National Security doing other than sleeping while making a speech? What is the Minister of Education doing other than going by the hairdresser to see if she or Webster Roy could wear more bundles? And you all find that funny? What about parents like myself and all of you all out there who take the time and effort day in, day out with repetition and consistency to make sure your children are courteous, decent, loving, caring, that they know that bullying is wrong, and you teach them to try to discuss and communicate when arguments arise. Think about this now. We as parents who are now sending our children that we took time to teach them in a normal society how to behave. Sending our children out into this society, the new society of the PNM, where strength and bullying and fighting and ignorance and cussing and lack of vocabulary and no communication and slapping and kicking and stabbing is the norm. Then as a parent, I am shirking my duty because it means that I am putting my child in danger. I wonder if you all understand that. That I am putting my child in danger by teaching her the right things. That by teaching her decorum and decency and courtesy and sharing and caring. And if people don't want to be your friend, it's okay. Go and read a book, walk away. If somebody want to run, push you and beat you, run fast to the teacher. You think my child, I can't teach my child to fight? I can't teach my child to be quick hands, good coordination and so on? So what do I do? What do you do as parents teaching your children the correct thing? Because we are now sending our beloved children out into Trinidad and Tobago under the PNM as lamb to the slaughter. Think on that. And then study that elections have consequences. And to the mass media, the most corrupt, how do you all sleep, you editors? You're watching the country slide faster and faster down the slope to a failed state where anarchy rules, Bajonism wins, who are the most gun, most powerful, where sense does not prevail, because that's how we voted. We didn't vote on policy, we didn't vote on cabinet notes, we didn't vote on plan, we voted on race and division. And then you reach the stage now that in a Mandir, citizens go and cook corned beef, and then people on Facebook are defending that. In a Mandir, to disrespect people's religion, that comes from the leader. When your leader divides, and every bit of information he gives out is tainted with racist, disgusting dog whistles. That's what happens, because it comes from the top. And then you believe that if it comes from the top, it's okay to desecrate, denigrate, and disrespect others. That's where we reach. When did we get so sick? Going into a place of worship to do what? For what? Why? But that's because your leader, Keith Christopher Rowley, is the biggest divider in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Geographical discrimination is Indian Arrival Day messages. Even with COVID-19 spread, he always had to do some sort of statement to say that it's geographical, to talk about the UNC, open fire discrimination, discrimination against the Hindu religion, discrimination in rivers against East Indian and Indian people. Keith Rowley discriminates against Indians in this country and sends a message to all that it's okay to desecrate and disrespect others. And you all find it funny? Tell me something that's going good in Trinidad and Tobago. Sweet, sweet Trinidad and Tobago? Really? Calypsonians, where are you? All you have pip.
Competent behavior by this administration, the administration who can do no wrong, while to the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, the evidence is there,
right,
where you can see what is happening for yourself. But nevertheless, it will all be revealed in due course. So, ladies and gentlemen, today is the day that the Lord has made, and of course, you know, the verse said that I would rejoice and be glad in it.
Yes.
So we'll be crossing over around 7 to the Monday Night Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, today the leader of the opposition put out a statement in relation to the Minister of National Security, or the Minister of Insecurity, I should say. Corky, the minister, open his mouth as usual and speak.
What did he
utter
okay,
nothing but rubbish.
That's a minister.
Just imagine, Fitzgerald Hines.
Okay.
This minister will open his mouth,
yes,
and he will tell this country that rape victims, those who have suffered this type of assault, that they are profiting.
What?
That they are profiting from that type of abuse. Can you imagine the audacity of this incompetent idiot that we have? In other words, what he is saying is that they are making money. They are making money. These victims, they are making money. That is what this man will tell this country. And I am yet to understand how people could really listen to what Hines have to say, one. And two, how could they continue to support this incompetent government? This government who have no idea as to how to run this country, this government who do not understand what is really happening.
Yeah.
So the leader of the opposition put out a statement from the office of the leader of the opposition, and it went on to say that, right, so let's just find it here. The recent statement by National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines saying victims of sexual assault are profiting from attacks is reprehensible, shameful, and disgusting.
Yes.
So what he is saying is that these individuals, they are profiting. They are profiting, Koki.
So in what way?
Well, he had to know, he had to tell the country. He had to tell the country how they profited.
They get money after the case.
Well, what he's saying is that they're making deals, they're making backdoor deals, and that is why the perpetrators and they cannot be brought to justice. That is what the man is saying.
So he's trying to say they're staging this
So
alleged rape.
let me just go on and say, though none was needed, this is yet further proof that Fitzgerald Hines is totally unfit and unprepared for his job.
Right.
Providing no evidence to substantiate his outlandish claims, Hines is now telling the nation that unsolved sexual crimes are due to victims making deal with criminals. This rowdy government, she said, is taking victim blame to another obscene level. So they are now blaming the victims of these heinous crimes,
Yes.
saying that they are making money of backdoor deals, and that is why they cannot bring these perpetrators to justice.
Okay.
Koki, I am yet to understand what is happening in this country. I am really trying to understand. Anyhow, she goes on to say that Hines is desperately trying to cover for his own incompetence in national security because he is presiding over a crime surge that has left citizens feeling afraid and uncertain about their personal safety. That is what my leader is saying. She further go on to say that sexual assault and rape are serious crimes that should never be callously dismissed. They are a raft of reasons currently preventing victims from coming forward. Chief among them is a lack of trust in the justice system, Koki. Yeah. And Koki, we know that this is happening. We have had people complain that they went to various stations and make report on rape and so on, sexual abuse and so on. Yeah. And in some case they were chased, in some case they were mocked, in some case they was laughed after. I mean, this is public. The public is quite aware of all these latest reports that came out from various people in different ways. But the leader went on to say, these latest despicable statements by Hines will further erode the work being done to encourage victims to come forward and to bring the perpetrators of these heinous crimes to justice. Yes. She said here, with these reprehensible statements, Fitzgerald Hines has now crossed a line from which there can be no return. No responsible prime minister can allow a minister who accuse victims of sexual assault and rape of profiting from said assault to remain as national security minister. The leader further stated Fitzgerald Hines has disgraced himself and the office he holds, and therefore he must go now. End of statement. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we reach in this country. We have seen this minister, Fitzgerald Hines, who tell you, the people of this country, that he is not responsible for your safety. All you remember that?
Yes, yes.
All you remember that this man's make it, he make it plain as day that he is not responsible for your safety.
So then what is he responsible for?
Well, then if he is not responsible for the safety of the citizens in this country, then it tell us, ladies and gentlemen, that not only is Fitzgerald Hines incompetent to hold that ministerial portfolio, but it tells us that the man doesn't know his job spec. He doesn't know his job spec. Because if you know your job spec, you will know for a fact that national security, that whole umbrella, which falls within all the protective services of this nation, which ought to be the flag bearer of the people's security in the country. In other words, what I'm saying is that Hines ought to understand and to know that his job is to protect not only the borders from any foreign aggression, but it's also to protect the citizens domestically from within. And that is what this man does not understand.
But maybe they didn't tell him that.
Well, boy, if they didn't tell Hines that, then what he doing there? Because, Corky, let me tell you something. Anything, I am into a lot of things right now.
Yeah.
I'm into law at a certain level. I'm also into project management at a certain level.
Right.
And Corky, they don't have to, the tutor doesn't have to tell me everything. It is my responsibility to research. It is my responsibility to spend some time researching. It is my responsibility to ensure that I understand, and it's also my responsibility, Corky, to know what I'm doing before I can hold a position to do it.
Right.
It's common sense. Corky, I cannot send you to lay out a foundation if you have no knowledge as to what would entails laying out this foundation.
Right.
I cannot send you, Corky, to represent anybody in court if you have not spent time studying law.
Okay, yes.
You have to, Corky, you in the radio station here.
Yeah.
Once or twice, you show me one or two things on this keyboard here.
Yeah.
You say if I run late, this is what should be done. That is what should be done. Yes. And what was the first thing I do, Corky? The first thing I do was to write down what you tell me. That's the first thing you tell me. Because you could tell me here, and by the time I don't talk and I reach back down the road, I don't forget all the Corky tell me already. But when you tell me and I write it down,
you know what you're doing.
Exactly. So I could read what I write. And I know when I reach here, if Corky run late, if he get up in traffic, I know exactly what button to touch, what to push, what to pull down, what to press, mic 1, mic 2, mic 3, how to take off mic, how to put on mic, how to answer the phone, how to let people call, how to cut them off too when they're talking rubbish.
Right? You are the control.
Right. So, I mean, it is common sense. So when we reach a stage where the national security minister started to blame the citizens for your incompetence, that tells us that we reach. According to the young people, we reach. We reach. And this is what I cannot understand. I know for a fact that the leader and others may develop and talk more about that later. But this is the high level of incompetence that we have sitting within the chair of national security, a very important ministry as national security. Very important. This Ministry of National Security, Corky, I consider two backbone ministries in this country, and it is the Ministry of National Security and the Ministry of Education. I look at these two ministries as the backbone of this country, because these could only go hand in hand. Because without education, Corky, we have a mad society.
That's right.
Without knowledge, people mad. Without security, we'll be out of control.
That's right.
And that is the fact. So when you have a Minister of National Security, and Minister Hines, let me say this one time. Let me help you out, because I realize that I put in it too broad. When I ask you a question, if your wife, Minister Hines, was giving out hampers and government vouchers in Southwestern Division, I think I make it too big, Southwestern. It looked like you might have trouble trying to find out that. So let me narrow it down for you. I want to zero in. So I'm asking you here this evening, Minister Hines, if your wife was giving out government hampers and vouchers in the Santa Flora, district. I'm making it more easy now for you to answer. If your madam was giving out government vouchers, and if she was giving out government vouchers, by whose authority? And if she was giving out government vouchers, then you must tell us where she get those vouchers from. Is your wife, if she was giving out these vouchers, is your wife a part?
Yes.
Is your wife a part, Minister Hines, of the Ministry of Social Welfare?
Yes.
Is your madam a part of social welfare?
Okay.
If she was giving out these government vouchers, you see, I know the media ain't taking it up, be quite too small. I too small to say it.
Yeah.
But I will keep saying it, Hines. I will keep asking the question. I am going to keep asking you. If your wife was giving out government vouchers to a religious organization in Santa Flora, you see how small I bring it?
Yeah. Break it down.
I break it down. I bring it real small. So nobody gonna no problem. And if she was doing it,
Yes.
she go remember. Because I bring it real small. And I go bring it smaller as we go along. As we go along, Koki, I'm going to bring it smaller. Yeah. So I say Santa Flora. And I say to a religious organization.
Right.
And in Santa Flora, the last time I count, it had 9 religious organization in Santa Flora. Yeah. 9. That is the last time I count. So I am asking you tonight, this afternoon, if your wife was giving out government vouchers and government hampers, and by who authority, if she was giving it out. So let me ask it plain, because I like my boys on the streets to understand what's taking place, and they could have an idea as to what is happening with the taxpayer dollar. So I am asking you, Fitzgerald Hines, you, Minister of Incompetence, you, Minister who are sexual victims making money, you, I am asking you, if your wife was giving out government vouchers to a religious organization in Santa Flora together with hampers, and if she was doing that, where she get these vouchers from? Jacob, you see, again, this is what does happen when you hear political interference taking place in the police service.
Yes.
This is what has happened. I have a list, today too short to talk about it. I have a list with all the investigation from Camille Robinson Regis, right back down to Inez Gate, right back up there to Foster Commons. I have a list with all these investigation that is currently according to them. And you see, let me leave this Foster thing for now, because tonight on the virtual, we will see how that develop. But Corky, let me tell you something. We have to have sense in this country.
Yes.
And all this old talk that all these police commissioners like to tell us, that it's ongoing, an investigation ongoing. When this small man commit a fraudulent act in a matter of 2-3 weeks, he before the court. My question tonight is, why wasn't this special branch file sent to the DPP? Why wasn't it sent to the DPP? You see the game, Skokie?
Good question, yeah.
Why this file was not sent to the Director of Public Prosecution? Because if you telling me from 2019
Yes.
to now, and then Jacob go, boy, watch now. Jacob will stand up and tell me it's ongoing.
Yeah.
Watch now. You know what is ongoing? These bunch of shameless men that we have sitting in high office in this country.
Yeah.
Shameless men and women. Madam President, you feel you get away? Shameless men and women who sitting in high office in this country, who continuing to condone this wrong misbehavior, this misbehavior in public office. And that is why the crime situation
Out of hand.
will continue
Yeah.
to spiral in this country. Because when you have high-ranking government officials thieving, lying, what do you expect will happen, boy? What will you expect will happen? You can't tell me Jacob come now and say it's ongoing. How much years now, Jacob? How much years, Jacob?
It's been a long time.
All kind of fraudulent, all kind of corruption. We locking up police officers for corruption and misbehavior. We locking up police officers for piloting excavator and truck. We locking up police officers for collecting money all about the place. We locking them up. But government officials who doing worse than police officers, we only balling. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. We have an investigation with Camille Robinson Regis
Yes.
for about $143,800. Look how long. What is the position with that, Jacob? Let me answer for you. Ongoing. Ongoing. And I want to jump in here one time and say this.
Yes.
I want to ask Gary Griffith. I want to ask Gary Griffith here this evening.
Right. Should we call him?
Under
Okay.
your tenure as Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith, were you aware of these files that was sitting collecting dust in any cupboard? That is what I want to find out here this evening.
I wonder.
I wonder.
Yeah.
I wonder. Because you see, I hearing Gary Griffith coming out and speak about the Prime Minister want him that, and the Prime Minister push him there, and the Prime Minister want him to do that, and he refused, and this is where we are today. What about them files, Gary? What about the Camille Robinson Regis file? What about the AV Drilling file? What about the Foster Cummins file?
Yes.
What about all these files that all we keep hearing, which is a TTPS excuse for incompetence, that these investigations, they are ongoing? So you telling me that in this country we have investigation going on for over 4 years,
Yes.
5 years, 6 years, and anytime we ask, it's still ongoing. Once it involves a hierarchy of the PNM, it is ongoing. That is the sad reality in this country. That is the sad reality in this country.
Yeah.
Every form of corruption that is under investigation from way back, anytime they get corner, anytime some whistleblower leak some information and they were boasting the other that they want to protect whistleblowers. Now I hear Heinz saying that the whistleblower had to pay the cake. They go find who leak document. You see how it's one law for them and another law for we. They run to the parliament and they're saying, Rowley stand up and talk about he is the master of white collar crime to get rid of it. Yes. He went right back and used in Pigot's corner. He went back and used men like Abdul Malik with the Galen Benson affair.
Yeah.
And he speak about white collar crime, and he talk about the UNC doesn't want the PNM to lock up and to deal with white collar crime. Yeah. Well, today, Rowley, we asking you, we want you to deal with the white collar crime in your government. The white collar crime by your ministers. The white collar crime that continue to happen under your watch as the Prime Minister. That is what we wanted to deal with. That is what we wanted to deal with. Why you don't get SRP Kate, the file on them to investigate too? If you believe that the police service is incompetent, that you have to go to another jurisdiction to bring in people, pay them 40 plus million US dollars to do a witch hunt against UNC MPs. I am saying pay a next 40 and let Kate investigate all the allegations, including the 400 plus thousand that you get off with the Ines Gate apartment. Let her investigate your wife. Let her investigate your children. And last but not least, let her investigate your sheep farm. That is where we want investigation. And while on that, you're leaving here and you're going Barbados. You're going Barbados the other day. Quietly. You ain't getting no information. We want to know where you went Barbados to do, to collect sheep money? Where you went Barbados to do?
I don't know.
I have a next story to come with this Nicolas Maduro and this government. But we will talk about that on another time. Today too short.
All right.
We will talk about vessels that anchor in Trinidad water. I will leave it there for now.
Yes.
I will leave that one for now. I ain't going there yet, Cocky. I ain't going there yet.
Yeah.
But this is what we want to know, Rowley.
Okay.
This is what we want you to investigate. Since you're talking about white collar crime, I want you to deal with red collar and black collar. Red collar and black collar, because them who committing crime against the people of this country, they red and they black in your government. So we want, forget the white. We don't want to hear about white collar. We want to hear about the black collar and the red collar. That's what we want to hear now.
I thought crime was crime. I didn't know it had colors in crime.
Brother, let me tell you something. You
Yeah.
see this government, and let me tell you what's sick about this, Corky.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's sick about this, Corky. I don't know what in God's name that this country waiting on to stand up, speak out, come out, and get this government to call election. I don't know what in God's name this country waiting on.
I don't know.
So we go open the phone lines.
Yes. 218 77.
7762. We opening the lines.
Yes. Let's take some.
So Heinz is saying that these persons who were sexually abused, that they are making a living out of that situation.
Right.
They're making money out of that situation. Let me hear what they think. 218-7762. We open the phone lines.
Yes.
Yeah, let me hear what they think on the outside.
They're making money.
Big brother, let me take this call one time.
Yes. Hello? Hello, go ahead. Hello, caller, go ahead.
Yeah, with the crime situation, the surge in crime, and you have a security minister, I know what his portfolio is. He either going or coming, I know. And talking stupidness about what he is not to protect the citizens and them kind of hogwash. What really going on with these people, boy? They stay here for a circus or something.
And
With
Kola,
all these
what
clowns.
is sad about that is the people of this country making themselves the circus horse, because you cannot tell me that you seen a bunch of incompetence before you and yet to the end of the day we sit down and taking that.
Yeah, and look at the incident recently with where the police got shot, right? He was shot according to the investigation that one of his own colleagues, and you want to blame somebody else for it. And the commissioner, boy, I really don't know what's going on in this place, you know. We gone. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Kola. And Kola, the fun in that is Jacob jump out and put his foot inside his mouth, talking all kind of big talk about who declare war on the police and all kind of thing. And I want to tell you, that is when they're incompetent, because when a shooting like that happen, you cannot make a judgment until there is an investigation. All the facts are gathered from a forensic standpoint, from the autopsy, and from everything. You just can't jump out there and talk about who. Boy, you see these bunch of jokers in this country. 218-7762. We opening the lines for some call. Remember, we crossing over at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
To the Monday night forum. 7 o'clock sharp. Welcome, caller.
Yes.
Victor, you're an aggressive move tonight. Don't let anger control righteousness, love, and peace. Good night, Coquinito. Good night, Archie. Good night to the ardent listeners. It's very nice speaking to you something. Whatever happened, according to scriptures, by their fruits, you shall know them. Interpreted, when you make a children and they grow up amongst you, their attitude and actions, they're portrayed outside. You see? So you don't blame everybody. And Jesus said, in my Father's kingdom, I'm in mansion. If not so, I would have told you. But I go to prepare a place for you. That where I am, you use. And you can't go in there with violence, bug with crime, and you can't go there. Because heaven and earth shall pass away, but one jot tittle of my word shall pass. The whole beast of it. Blood and flesh cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Parents, please control your children and all it says to you. Good night.
What? Bibles?
Yeah, Bible.
Bible works there.
Okay, a student was stabbed at the Sipar East, Sipar West.
But why is they not
School
putting
today.
security and letting the police be in the schools?
Well,
why
we will
it's
deal with
stick-
that.
My
And you know that's the
gosh.
same school my son going to. So Corky,
Okay, yes.
I think very soon,
Mhm.
I will be embarking on some kind of action.
Yes.
Very, very soon. I am going to be embarking on some kind of action, but I say no more for now,
Right.
right? Because this cannot continue. But back to Heinz. So Heinz is saying that these people who get raped, they are making money. So Corky, wait now. So
They're making
if I
money.
want to interpret this way, so these people putting themselves in places to be abused, to
No,
be raped, brutally, viciously, and
But
then make money from it
no,
after.
no, no.
Boy, you see this big incompetence.
But in what way they
joker?
making money?
You see this big incompetence joker that we
I
have
don't
here?
understand.
And the first caller speak about Trinidad being a circus. And I am endorsing what that caller said. And I'm also adding to it that the people of this country, they are the ones who are now becoming that circus horse, because they are allowing this PNM government to ride them, to bruise their back, to assault them, to brutalize them, to victimize them, to discriminate against them, to starve them, lack of employment for them. Everything negative, everything that is ungodly.
Wow.
This government bringing to the people of this country,
Yeah.
and the people of this country, Corky, toting this government on the back. Toting this government on the back and galloping with this prime minister and this bunch of idiots who have no vision, who have no moral standard, who knows nothing about spiritual values, who do not understand the right foot from the left foot. A government who is uncaring, a government who is sick, cocky.
The sick.
Sick. I tell you, welcome, caller.
Yes, man, the Silver Fox inside. Good night, good night.
Welcome, Fox.
Welcome, Fox.
Victor, the people in this country, Trinidad and Tobago, is afraid of Keith Christopher Rowley. They are afraid
Saying
of
that?
Keith
Why are you
Christopher
saying that,
Rowley.
Fox?
Now, I will tell you something. Rowley said the people of Trinidad and Tobago is stupid and still they vote for him. He said he don't know 29,000 vote for him. He don't know none of them. And they're not ashamed. They still vote for him. What I realize in this country, Victor, those who work in and have power, they don't care nothing about us below here. They don't care if we eat, if we don't eat, if we live, if we don't live. Once all of them have a big salary, they only keep on talking. And talking and making no sense to me, because every morning I get up in the same problem. Keith Christopher Rowley is the Prime Minister, and I want to change that. I don't want to be a Prime Minister under Keith Christopher Rowley, because he's not a leader. All they are doing to us is to kill us out, and all who we vote for is standing aside and watch. They are waiting for I don't know who, because I know Moses dead. I know Samson dead. I know Joan of Arc dead. But why realize the whole of Trinidad and Tobago dead? Because nobody is getting up and fighting. Everybody talking, this one thief that one thief this. This one do that one do this. Why we not stopping Rowley? Why we not coming out and make one force and stop the man? Rowley is a human being. Rowley born just like me and you, but just have a different heart to me and you, but Rowley is a human being. Why we letting all kind of outsiders make choice for us? Short man lying and say he get all the things to bring tax, to give me property tax. Short man lie and he get none. But how would we know he get it? Short man out to put us to take away property. But I am telling short man, the harder you come, the harder you go fall, one and all. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Yes, that's the Fox there from Tobago.
Thank you, Fox. So that's our update. We'll be crossing at 7:30. We'll be crossing over at 7:30 to the Monday Night Forum, right?
Okay.
That's our update. 7:30 would be the time we're crossing over.
Yes.
And Fox, I agree with you.
To a point. Or
3/4 way.
oh.
And let me tell you why I agree with you 3/4 way. The UNC, under the leadership of the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa,
Yes.
we are doing our part.
Right.
But when we doing our part, Fox, we would expect the country to do their part. We had a protest just recently.
Yes.
People come out in their numbers. But was the numbers great enough? Was the numbers great enough? That is the question. Was the numbers great enough? The leader gave an instruction and all of us complied.
Right.
But where were the average voters? Where were the average voters?
Yeah.
And it seems as though that people in this country, one man called me recently and he said, Mr. Roberts, the UNC not doing enough. I say, okay, all right. Tell me in what way you find the UNC not doing enough.
Right.
I want to see all the MPs and them stand up outside the parliament. When the parliament have sitting, I want to see all of them outside the parliament. I say, okay. I say, but what you want them to do when they come out outside the parliament?
Right.
Make noise. I say, all right. I say, but what making noise outside the parliament will do? You ain't think making noise inside the parliament will be better?
Right.
He said, well, they had to do something. I find they ain't doing enough. I said, well, let me ask you a question. We planning something very soon outside the parliament. Would you be available? He said, yes, once I get the date. I said, well, the date was the 30th of last month. Because we was talking about a week before.
Right.
I said, it's the 30th. He said, nah, boy, that day is a bad day for me.
What?
So, I said that to say this. You will have people saying all kind of things that they find the UNC and doing enough and the UNC and doing this and the UNC and doing that. But my question is, what you doing? Where are you when the UNC call on you? When we call for you to come out, where you? So everybody, the UNC not doing, the UNC not doing. Well, what to the rest of the alphabet? What to the rest of the alphabet? Let you forget UNC for now. What to the whole rest of the alphabet? Where are you?
Yes.
Where are you? All ain't coming out for nothing. Nothing all ain't coming out for. So you see, better Rowley just do what you have to do. Raise the fuel price again and but.
What?
Raise it. Abu Dhabi raise everything in all the store.
No, man.
All the grocery raise all the thing. Because it seems that the people in the country comfortable. Because Koki, if the people ain't comfortable, the people will be taking serious action to cause this government to call election. Koki, let we just compare. Let we compare. Let us go back to 2010, 2015.
Yes.
Rowley stand up in the parliament with some papers that my little son, Omar, will know it's not an email. Because Koki on an email, if the dot in the wrong place, it can't go.
Yes.
That little dot you're watching there, if it's in the wrong place, it can't go no way.
Nah.
You hear what I'm telling you? So a little child who will understand, who know what is email, what will it take? It take a whole investigation.
Right.
It take the wicked devils of this society. The devils of this society, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, it is the media. Those are the devils of this country. The devils of Trinidad and Tobago, it is the media. So the media propagate, beat front page story, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Prime Minister and others conspiring to kill journalists. They beat it, front page, back page, center page, sport page, every column, every crook and cranny. They beat it, they publish it, they print it.
Yeah.
TV night and day, headlines, night and day, 95.5. They beat it. And here, what is sad?
Yeah.
It took years for we to know in this country that those papers was never emails. You hear what I just tell you, Koki?
Yeah.
It took years. The police run, they work camera device, they work this one device, they work computer, they work everything. They portray the narrative as real.
Yeah.
They print the narrative as real. And the people of this country, they bought into the narrative that the media was selling.
Yes.
The media was selling PNM behind the scene. They were using the paper, the television houses the radio station,
Yeah.
everything, they were selling P&M. All the trade union movements joined with Rowley.
So do they get paid for doing this?
Brother, how you think the media make the money? How you think the media make the money?
Right. So we sell lies.
The trade unions, they join up. We heard religious leaders who ought to talk on facts,
Yes.
who ought to talk on facts, who ought to speak the truth. They and all jumping the bandwagon and preaching and talking things that were lies. Go back and examine the sermons. You will hear them in the church saying, we have reached a stage where government want to cover up the wrongdoing that they are calling hit and putting contracts to kill our media personnel. That is there.
Yes.
So everybody jump on the bandwagon without facts. They were spewing rubbish in this country, and this is what we now have. A bunch of incompetence. Welcome, caller.
Hey, Mr. Robert, good night to you and Corky.
Good night.
I'll give you a quick call. If you want a glaring example of what kind of police you have in this country, and one of them is PNM, when they hear UNC lose the election special branch, if the Prime Minister, she can't break down and drive off and left her. I don't know if you can remember that. So she
Yes,
was
of course.
That country family to come and meet you. This is the kind of country living in. Then the two Indian High Commissioners came to Trinidad when Mr. Pandey was in opposition and was in office. Man and send police inside there to harass him and make him look bad. So this is the kind of country we live in. I just give you a short call for now. Call you back. I just come up and say you right?
Yeah.
And caller, you're right. This is the state affairs.
Yes.
Let the UNC caller protest. We see PNM constituency protesting. No police. We see people throwing rubbish in the road, burning this, burning that. No police. But as we say we're going on a peaceful protest, it's police by the ton load.
Right, go ahead.
It's police by the ton load. That is what is happening in this country.
Yes.
Just imagine we are now speaking about a secret file.
Yes.
A secret file. What is so secretive about corruption? What ought to be hiding about corruption, especially when an individual was just a senator? You have covered, you have put away, and you have made that individual a member of parliament, giving him extra powers and extra protection.
Yes.
And this is where we are today. I am saying, and I want to ask Gary Gifford, was you aware of that file? Were you aware of that file, Gary? You see, I don't want people come when the shoes squeezing their foot and run to the media house and Facebook and talk and feel the country go feel sorry, you know. I want people to be honest. This is what we must have in government, honesty. And where there is no honesty, there will be anarchy. Why would we vote and place people in office and then allow those individuals to be dishonest? And to the end of the day, we support that dishonesty because we belongs to that party. That is madness. That is madness. That is why our society today, we are where we are. Because from president, corruption, misbehavior, prime minister, ministers, corruption, recusal, who's saying down, who's stepping out,
Yeah.
just walking outside, come back in, and the rest vote. Yes, 20 million a year. Walk outside, come back in, vote. Dr. Rowley have recusals. Rohan Sinanan, recusals. I ain't calling Faris Alwari name. Stuart Young, a recusal. What this place coming to Trinidad and Tobago, and we accepting this? Welcome, caller.
Yes.
A tired say Hines get too much venom in his body. So he always had to keep sleeping because of the venom. So he can't see what's going on. And I tell him, all the preachers them are ready, that let them preach the word of God and take their hand out of the cookie jar, because no church is affiliated to no government. And let the 1% know that they get all the rope they want. That is the 1%, the PNM party. I tell you, the 1% who running it and the the 1%, let them know that the empire will come crumbling down on their head just now, and all of them will take a jail just now. It's just a matter of time. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, caller. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Trinidad. Let me show you the epitome of wickedness by this government. Corky,
yes, sir.
There are persons who construct a little 10 by 20 on state land. And they break it down. They bulldoze it, Palo Seco, La Victoria Trace.
Yes.
Other areas, they serve notice and still serving notice. But you have a minister who taken up Carani land and other lands like if it's he own, and yet to the end of the day, all you have a file hiding. All you have a file hiding. This is conspiracy. This is a conspiracy that people must be charged, including the Prime Minister.
My gosh.
Because when this special branch do this type of investigation on any individual who may very well be a candidate, this information goes back to the Prime Minister or the political leader. Yes. So the political leader will have an idea who he is appointing, whether it's a thief, a robber, a liar, a raper man, a criminal. And if this file could go and hide, I am saying today that this have to be a big conspiracy.
Yes.
Just as the fake oil where Petrotrin had to be closed in order to protect the Prime Minister partner and the financier and other high-ranking officials in the PNM who were part of that scandal.
What?
This is serious business, Trinidad. Young people, you have to wake up. You have to see, young people, what they are doing to you. What this government continue to do in this country. It wouldn't affect your grandmother and your mother, you know. This going to affect you, your children. This is what this going to affect. It going to lick you up, young people. You have to stand up, come out, and vote out this government. You have to vote out this government. You have to agitate young people for this government to call election. This government, young people, is the enemy to the youth. They don't care about you, you know. They don't care about what education you have, you know. What they care about is the public purse. And that is what they will protect. One man tell me recently, he said, Roberts, you, Anil, and other members of the UNC, all you better be careful with all your life. I say, why you say that? He said, because all you ain't understand, what all you're doing is interfering with the finance of these people. And when you interfere with the finance of these individuals, they will use the protective services to get rid of all you. So I laugh. He said, you laughing at serious thing? I said, brother, I was shot already by them, you know.
Yes.
I was shot by them, by the PNM. I was shot by the PNM. Me asking nobody, you know, I telling all you. And that is why Rowley said that he don't believe it was political, and he will give a statement in the next couple of days. You know why? Waiting for me to die in the hospital, and then come out and say X, Y. When they done paying that pity corky, You and all who didn't know me, I say, well, that man was a real criminal, boy. That is how these people operate. That is how they operate. And if you don't believe me, go back to try to find out how the cocaine and the mortar bomb reaching Sadiq Bash tank. You will see statement where there was by Ganga Singh house, where it was supposed to be planted there also. You figure this PNM is a game or you figure this PNM is some kind of bed of roses? These people will do anything that is possible, anything that is absolutely necessary to protect the wealth. That is what they're doing. You feel this Rowley administration care about this country? That's what you feel? Well, look, you better drinker and juice. Welcome, caller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Robert.
Good day, sir.
With the current crime situation and Rowley and Hines and them refusing to resign, the only thing they could do is to bring back the whip. The whip is the only way to control people. An entire continent was enslaved using a whip, you know, and they had to behave. So we can't manage a few people in the prison with the whip. Ah, man, they're making joke. Whip for them. Bring back the Cat 9.
Well, brother, when they bring back that whip, you have to start to beat Rowdy them first. You hear what I'm telling you? Because what? From what is happening in this country, I am telling you people on the outside, if all they ain't get serious, then all they might as well forget. All they might as well forget it, forget election, and forget vote. If all they ain't get serious. Because very soon, there won't be anything there for all they to vote for. You see, people feel this is a game, you know. People feel this is a plaything. So everybody on the outside, and Silver Fox just said it, you know. Silver Fox just said it. He fed up. It's like a talk show. Everybody know what to do. Everybody know what to say. But where them? Where them, Corky? Where them? When it's time to stand up, where them? But everybody, Mr. Robert, we have to do this. Mr. Robert, let we do that. Mr. Robert, let we do this. But where them?
I don't know.
With them, that is the problem. With them. You see, I realize that everybody want a Jesus. Is that Jesus these people want to know? The Europeans teach these people so much to believe that somebody have to always die for them. That they grow up with a mentality now that if you have to stand up for any wrongdoing, they want somebody else to stand up, and then they're in line first to benefit, you know.
Okay.
Corky, they want you to stand up. Yeah. And as soon as you stand up, they're pushing you out the line to benefit from what you stand up for. Corky, what's going on in this country?
I don't know.
What we could say again for people to understand. What can we say again for you people on the outside to understand that this is your future? This is your children. What you think have Haiti and Venezuela and other countries? What you think have them in the condition that they are? What you think? It is corruption. It is corruption. They steal the soul out of the persons in those countries, and therefore the people now in those countries, they are treated like dirt. Your turn coming. You sit down in your house. You just sit down there. Your turn coming. Remember, I tell a little that, you know. Your turn coming. Welcome, caller.
Good night, Victor. Worse than the leadership of the PNM are their general supporters. Everything that they do, they get a support from them. That is the supporters are worse than the leadership. But what I want to see is the UNC call a mass general meeting or protest. Now, I'm not talking about joining any pushback this and pushback that. I'm talking about the UNC. That is what I want to see, a mass meeting or protest. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, caller. And I want to assure you that the political leader in her wisdom is strategizing and putting what needs to be put in place to save this country. Welcome, caller.
Good evening, Victor! Elsa in the house. I agree with everything you're saying. Do you by chance know when the opposition will be filing a motion of no confidence, or if it's already in queue at the parliament? Because that's when they really have to go on them to bust all the files, to bust on all of them. So to get a motion of no confidence in the Prime Minister, have any word on that?
Yes, brother, it's in the making, but I want to tell you this. It will be struck down just as the Speaker continue to struck down everything in our parliament.
But that's why we had to talk the hardest then, because just like the Electoral College, that's when we will hit the streets and be outside to be shouting, Rowley must go, Rowley must go. But regardless, Victor, anytime we have protests, we're coming out. Rowley must go. Thank you.
All right, El Chico, looking forward to see you.
Yeah, man.
And I wish that your sentiment could be on behalf of the people, because we have seen the failure of the people when coming to standing up. Welcome, caller.
Good night to the panel there.
Good night.
I'm calling you again. On Queen Avenue, there's a waterfall under the avenue. You understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, caller.
I'm calling from Queen Avenue, Dunwigan Road, Sawan, opposite
Right.
Senior Comprehensive School. When a next cousin of mine reported, and they call back and say that it's already fixed, which is a damn lie. They say they have it on the computer. Thank you.
Wow. What is that?
Thank you, caller. And I heard Anil call on Minister Man. Caller, let me tell you something. This government didn't care about no water leak. This government, that line could, that all that water could run down the river. I feel this government care about that. They didn't care about that. They didn't care about that, caller. They didn't care. Welcome, caller.
Go ahead. Hello, you're live. Go ahead.
Yeah.
He doesn't know he's live.
Right, the number 218-7762. It's 4:15. We will take a break.
Yeah.
And then we will come right back. Remember, at 7:30 we will be hitting the button.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
It's the grand opening of Matai Imports Limited new showroom at Hassan Ali Trace, Lower Barrackpore. All pickups, cars and bikers are invited. Sunday, 15th May from 2 p.m. till 10. For more information, call 391-3043. It's the grand opening of Matai Imports Limited new showroom at Hassan Ali Trace, Lower Barrackpore. Sunday, 15th May from 2 p.m. till 10. Also, a special guest appearance by the 4x4 man, Kenneth Salik.
The girl needs for a man with a big van. She don't wanna aid the wagon. She looking for a four-wheel van.
Come to the Waves Restaurant and Bar, Grafton Beach, Black Rock, Tobago. Great ambience, fantastic prices, all COVID protocols observed. Full premium bar available. Call Waves at 731-4646 to make your reservation. Come dine with the Waves Restaurant and Bar, Grafton Beach, Black Rock, Tobago. You must be vaccinated to dine in.
My parents' generation grew up with Royal Castle. From the first restaurant in 1968, when that distinctive, tempting aroma hit the air, they just couldn't resist. And like never before, fried chicken with a special blend of local seasonings and a one-of-a-kind flavor down to the bone. Today, Royal Castle still have that same delicious taste, and I love it too. The kids can't resist it either. Plus, they have more to enjoy. For me, the castle is more than just nice food. It's we own, part of me and you, and is the real flavor of TMT.
Fresh Street Market, your neighborhood supermarket.
Number 3 Andrew Lane, corner Churchill Roosevelt Highway and Andrew Lane, Derby, Mousica.
Opening hours.
Saturday 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Sundays 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. When you think about fresh produce and good quality food, come to Fresh Street Market, your neighborhood supermarket.
Number 3 Andrew Lane, corner Churchill Roosevelt Highway and Andrew Lane, Derby, Mousica. Le Grand Coulon Spa Resort at Stonehaven Bay, Blackrock. Bed and breakfast rates available. To book, call 283-2597 or 463-2946. Le Grand Coulon Spa Resort at Stonehaven Bay, Blackrock.
Greeted in the wonderful name of Jesus. My name is Bishop Kelvin Khan from Endurance Ministry International. Our new location is in Railway Road, Londonville. You can tune into 97.5 every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. till 8. Tell your nanny and your nana, your chachi, your chacha, your grandpa, your grandma. We need to pray for our nation. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, so we have to leave it here for now. We're saying stay tuned to douglAR Radio as we go straight across now to the Monday Night Forum. God bless. And Archie, straight to you. We crossing over.
Yes, we're just waiting.
No.
Disastrous things have happened to this country. Today you are seeing the effects of shutting down that ministry that gave the strength, the support, the legislative capacity, but also the operationalizing elements to the Children's Authority. So don't come and give us hogwash that you care for these children and that you have their best interests at heart. Brothers and sisters, there's another matter. But before I go on to that other matter, I want to read for you something. The Honorable Leader of the Opposition said to me, she said, listen, we will not complain that we have made these recommendations before. We are going to give them the opportunity to institute proper procedures and measures that will benefit our children, because they are the ones who are suffering as a result of the inaction of this government. And today, as a member for Princestown on the direction of the Leader of the Opposition, Mrs. Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, who has always been known as an advocate for children's rights in this country, she had me file a motion in the Parliament, and I will read the motion. The motion is a private member's motion, and it says, whereas there has been a number of reports of children being abused during the current government's administration, and whereas children have the right to grow up in a safe, supportive environment devoid of abuse, exploitation, harassment, and neglect, and whereas the state has a duty of care to protect all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, especially the children to which their policies have not been effective on safety, security, health, and education. And whereas several state agencies have indicated that there is a work overload within the system to particularly address matters affecting children, be it resolved that this House reprimand the government for its failure to effectively protect and support our nation's children. And be it further resolved that this House call on the government to implement effective data-driven policies and to take all urgent steps to protect the children of this nation. 7 years later, we are not complaining that we told you so. What we are doing is that we are holding you to account to ensure that our children are protected. Brothers and sisters, before I leave you, there's one other matter that I've been raising, and that has to do with WASA and TSCT. And recently, a document found its way into my mailbox, and the Minister of Public Utilities have been very silent on my questioning of whether or not the WASA's CEO, the substantial acting CEO, Sherland Shepherd, refused to take his directives of withdrawing 2 mega companies from a list that was to be published. And why did the minister, if the minister did give the instruction, why did the minister hand select these 2 companies to be withdrawn from being published in the daily newspapers? Well, tonight, the minister has remained silent, but I have a copy of the letter. I have a copy of the letter. I have the name of the companies. I have how much they're owed. Deputy Political Leader Jerlene John told me, she said, you must always relate it to how it impacts on the everyday man, woman, and child in this country, because they're the ones who have to face the harsh economic conditions. They are the ones who cannot put food on their tables or pay their bills. So while these mega companies, and I'm almost certain I was told it's already floating on the social media, so I will not call the names tonight, but except to say that I too have a copy of the letter. So while these mega companies are owing millions of dollars and being hand-selected by ministers of this Rowley administration to be protected, I ask tonight, why is Minister Marvin Gonsalves protecting these two companies? Why is Minister Marvin Gonsalves chosen that these two companies are so special? Are these two companies getting government contracts under the names of other companies? Well, you see, there's something called the Companies Registry in Trinidad and Tobago. So when you pull up the documents, I said, self, check that company registry. So I checked the company registry. So I said, well, why is the Minister of Public Utilities so quiet on the matters affecting WASA and the matters affecting TSCT? I saw Camille Robinson-Regis jump out of a whole self, as the young people says. Up to now, Camille has not refuted that TSCT is selling off the properties that are owned by the shareholders. Instead, she goes on this long tirade about UNC and truth and not being able to tell the truth and so on. Camille Robinson-Regis is the last person who should be giving anybody advice on telling the truth. But tonight, Camille, Marvin Gonsalves, and the cabinet, I want to tell you, when I got a copy of this letter from WASA and I saw the names of the companies, and I pulled up the directors, I told you last week in TSCT, they were selling off properties of TSCT, but they were renting to a company called JC Landings. And the same fit for purpose that they were utilizing JC Landings properties for, at the tune of millions of dollars being paid by taxpayers, is the same fit for purpose they're utilizing, that they were utilizing the properties that TSCT is now selling. But the interesting part is that when you look at the directors of the different companies, they are one and the same owners. I encourage members of the media and others to take a look. But clearly I can understand when Prime Minister Keith Rowley said that rich will get richer. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first set out to deceive. Brothers and sisters, in the coming days and weeks, we will share more with you. We will expose their corruption, their mismanagement. But most importantly, we will provide solutions and recommendations to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because surely as night follows day, the sun will rise again. We will continue to stand at the side of the people of Trinidad and Tobago and be your voice for you, whether it's inside or outside of the parliament. But surely, as I've said to you time and time again, we ain't afraid of none of them. And we will stand up, fight them, and expose them for who they are and what they are. I thank you.
Revolution, my brothers and sisters, let's all walk together as one. This revolution is about restoring our democracy, and this revolution is about stopping this creeping dictatorship. This is the people's revolution. Come on, people.
Thank you, MP Barry. My brothers and sisters, pleasant good night. Our next speaker is a strong voice in our parliament. He previously served as Trinidad and Tobago's ambassador to the United Nations under Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and continues to serve our nation in the House of our Representatives. Please welcome to our virtual platform MP for Naparima, Mr. Rodney Charles.
Sisters, let's all walk together as one. This revolution is about restoring our democracy, and this revolution is about stopping this creeping dictatorship. This is the people's revolution.
Thank you, Chairman, Chairwoman, political leader of the United National Congress, and I don't need to mention her name, she's well known, the mother of the nation. Members of the UNC family, and our listening viewers, listening audience tonight on a number of media. Tonight, I wish to report the inescapable fact that our disastrous foreign policy under Rowley has failed miserably. We should be at this time engaging the world and actively participating in the emerging world order. This is a crucial time in world affairs with Ukraine and things happening all over, climate change, etc. Instead, we are being isolated. And if there is no course correction, Trinidad and Tobago will permanently become the laughing stock of the region and the world. We are reaping the whirlwind of Rowley's toxic approach to global diplomacy. No wonder Rowley has not yet reported to the nation via his usual press conference on his last trip, his last all-inclusive trip to Washington. Is it that he has nothing to report? But before I elaborate on our failed foreign policy, I wish to digress a little. Forgive me. I have a concern. This matter is worrying me. I listened intently, as we all did last week, to the shocking revelations of Senator Jayanti Lakshmidiyal concerning a special branch report on activities of wannabe leader of the PNM, Foster Cummins. Her revelations were damning, extremely disturbing, worthy of immediate answers, and more so, another indictment on the Rowley administration in general, and NP Cummins in particular. Now, and more so, another indictment on the Rowley administration in general, and NP Cummins in particular. Now, that information came in our mailbox. And just a few moments ago, I heard my esteemed colleague from Princestown said bit of information came in his mailbox. In my 6 years in Parliament, nothing has been placed in my mailbox. Nothing. So I want Trinidad and Tobago to know that I also have a mailbox. I live in San Fernando. So I am inviting anyone who is viewing or listening and who knows, for example, the source of WPC Robinson Regis $143,000 to drop that information in my mailbox. I'll give you the personal address. Drop something on Rowley's choice for the new Commissioner of Police. I want that in my mailbox. Or how the EBC intends to gerrymander seats for the PNM for the next general elections. I want that. As folks too. Or the real reason for the demotion of Faris Alwari. I want to know these things. Now I'll get back to it. Has failed under Rowley. We have no new friends internationally, no deepened relationships, no new foreign investors. When he went to the US, he met Vice President Kamala Harris virtually. So he went to America to participate in a Zoom meeting. Hear nonsense? As the global order evolves and alliances keep shifting, and as the post-COVID, post-fossil fuel economy evolves, Keith Rowley is the last person we want representing us during these sensitive times. Remember how great we once were, Trinidad and Tobago? How we stood tall in the international community. Other countries looked up to us. We ran things. Things didn't run us in the international community. And now, to witness now, how Trinidad and Tobago has become an international pappy show, a laughing stock, a pariah almost. We are literally dismissed as irrelevant. We have to pay our lobbyists millions in US currency for photo ops, all because of Rowley's lack of leadership. Call it what it is. How much did the lobbyists charge for each photo op? It could be million US of your tax dollars. Imagine the president of India will visit Jamaica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines next week. India, with whom we once had very close ties, is bypassing us. Whoosh, he bypasses us, he go to St. Vincent and he go on to Jamaica. Who is our High Commissioner to India? What is he or she doing to earn his salary, his or her salary? Again, we see the preference for our more esteemed neighbors. Now, don't get me wrong, we are happy for our neighbors, but we are saddened for Trinidad and Tobago's decline. Today, even in sports, we don't matter. Imagine our under-17 women's soccer team, and my colleague, Senator Arnold Roberts will understand what I'm saying. Imagine our under-17 women's soccer team, our sports ambassadors got 10-1. 10-1. Not their fault, but an administration that does not care to put resources into developing the talents of our young citizens. I remind you, under Kamala Prasad Bisesa and Minister of Sports Arnold Roberts, in the 2012 Olympics, we got 1 gold medal, 3 bronze, and 11 finalists. That performance differentiates the failed PNM under Keith Christopher Rowley from the leadership of Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Chalk and cheese. Today under Rowley, things are dismal. We were kicked out in the first round of the FIFA World Cup in a group led by St. Kitts and Nevis with a population of 55,000. A little island, 2 islands, with a population less than Naparima, beat the whole of Trinidad and Tobago. What a shame. At the last Olympics, we did not get a single medal. But Grenada got. Jamaica got medals by the grab. They have a bag full of medals. Bahamas got, but not my Trinidad and Tobago. And Shamfa shamelessly draws a hefty monthly unearned salary and performing like no one lives here in her ministry. She has no shame, like the whole of that kakistocratic cabinet. And by the way, that means incompetent. It is worse in the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. There was a time when Trinidad and Tobago was respected globally in the international community. It was, I'll give you some examples. It was former A.N.R. Robinson who laid the foundation for the International Criminal Court. And our judges usually were elected unopposed on their first ballot for the ICC, International Criminal Court. Ask ex-President Anthony Carmona, he was elected on the first ballot. And Justice Henderson, first ballot. You know what? Under Rowley in 2020, our candidate was elected on the 8th ballot. They had to go 8 times to elect a Trinidad candidate. But it got worse. Lennox Bala, the late Lennox Bala, was instrumental in the formation of the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea. They call it ITLAS. Big word, ITLAS. As a result, our judges were normally elected unopposed or on first ballot. Under Rowley, that has changed. We have no representation on ITLAS. The last was Justice Anthony Lucky. Be gone through. Under Manning, Trinidad and Tobago hosted CHOGM and the Summit of the Americas. Presidents, prime ministers, heads of government came to Trinidad. Today, not even the president of India visits Trinidad and Tobago when he's in the region. Even Sadhguru came to the Caribbean and skipped Trinidad entirely. What a shame, like we have leprosy in Trinidad. They like to say, we equal to them. We are 2,000 times better than the PNM. 2,000 times. Under Kamala Prasad Bissessa, Trinidad and Tobago punched above its weight in foreign policy. We continue the tradition of global preeminence for which we were known. President Xi Jinping, from the second largest economy in the world, made Trinidad and Tobago and made Kamala Prasad Bissessa the first prime minister he visited in the Western Hemisphere. Before Canada, before Mexico, before the United States, Xi Jinping came to Trinidad. First country after he was elected president. And you must ask yourself why. U.S. Vice President visited Kamala Prasad Bissessa. Let me say it to the Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissessa in Porto, Spain. Today, Rowley cannot get a photo up with either Vice President Harris or President Biden in Washington. He came to Trinidad to see our Prime Minister, and he runs up there and cannot get a photo up. Me a motley God. Me a motley God. The Prime Minister of Jamaica got. At the United Nations, you see, sometimes we don't like to boast. We do not like to boast. We must be humble. But at the United Nations, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissessa was a rock star. I was there at a side meeting on increased women's participation in politics. She shared the head table with the likes of Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff and the Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Under her leadership, we had a boss, you know. We had a boss. Because the media ain't doing it for us. So forgive me. Under her leadership in 2013, we secured Trinidad and Tobago's successful candidacy for a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council in 2027. You had to put in your thing early. 2027, I hope I'm alive. Because of her leadership, we will have a seat, a non-permanent seat on the Security Council. And in 2023, we will have the president of the UN General Assembly, all because of her leadership. Now, the point is, we were big in the dance. That was where we were on the global stage. And then came Keith Christopher Rowley and his bag of misfits, oligarchs, and kakistocrats. And they began to unravel everything. His complete disdain for foreign affairs was evidenced in his appointment of the hapless Dennis Moses as our Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs. And he compounds the idiocy, you have to call it that, by appointing the self-same Dennis Moses as our High Commissioner in Canada. Lord, Dr. Rowley's representation alone at the US did not support Dominica's request for a waiver of fees because that country had suffered the devastating hurricane. He insulted CARICOM colleagues by insinuating they were beggars for vaccines. He insulted Barbadians by refusing to accept our citizens stranded in Bridgetown. We had to apologize when his minister wrongly stated that Barbados gave us COVID vaccines, not out of the goodness of their hearts, but because they had to. Dr. Rowley seems belatedly to have realized that he cannot bully Guyana. He must engage them as equals. This after Guyana downgraded its High Commission in Port of Spain to a consulate. Can you imagine that? We thank God that he has come to his senses and realized that Guyana is no longer the junior partner in our relationship, and he cannot bully them as he may wish to do. Now, I want to just give quickly 4 things that must change in our foreign policy. Under Rowley, our foreign policy is not serving our economic interests. Our economy needs 4 things desperately: jobs, diversification, foreign direct investment, and foreign exchange. wasting time and energy on useless photo ops in Qatar and Washington does absolutely nothing in terms of our pressing needs. We ask the question, how many jobs you got from your Washington jaunt? How many U.S. businesses were engaged as the country changes its supply chain logistics away from China and the region? The second thing that has to change, our best and brightest must head our missions. We don't want Dennis Moses, the likes of Dennis Moses in Canada. We need to treat Venezuela not as a priority, but as another country with which we must interact. Ms. Delcy Rodriguez may be an attractive, persuasive diplomat in the eyes of this administration, but those attributes have to be factored into the totality of our relationships. I'll just give one last point. As a small state, Trinidad and Tobago's survival is dependent on the international community recognizing the inviolability of national borders. While we must continue our long-held policy of not taking sides in a new Cold War, we should have taken an unmistakably firmer stance on the UN resolution on the invasion of Ukraine. And lastly, Trinidad and Tobago needs immediately to ratify the 1951 UN Refugee Convention and the International Convention on the Protection of Rights of All Migrants and their families. In the last point, there was a damning international report on our country under the failed Keith Christopher Rowley. The U.S. Department of State recently released the 2021 Human Rights Report. They highlighted serious things in Trinidad and Tobago. One, the unlawful arbitrary killings of police. That is what the world is seeing in Trinidad. The forcible return of asylum seekers to the country where they are likely to be persecuted or punished. 3, serious acts of corruption. And lastly, human trafficking. Ladies and gentlemen, I've made the case that under Keith Christopher Rowley, we are pariahs. We are ignored. We are irrelevant. It is time for Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC to bring resurrection and to bring life and light to Trinidad and Tobago. I thank you.
Sisters, let's all walk together as one. This revolution is about restoring our democracy. And this revolution is about stopping this creeping dictatorship. This is the people's revolution.
Thank you, MP Charles. Our next speaker is a UNC stalwart. He's a firebrand in the parliament and on the platform. And in a few moments, you would see why. Please welcome the Member of Parliament for Oropuch East, Dr. Rudal Munilal.
Everybody crying out for democracy.
Now it's time to take a stand, yeah.
Come on! As we move in this people's revolution, my brothers and sisters, let's all walk together as one. This revolution is about restoring our democracy.
Sister Monifa, for the kind introduction. Brothers and sisters assembled in San Fernando at our headquarters, the political leader, the Honorable Kamala Persad-Bissessar, platform speakers, brothers and sisters across Trinidad and Tobago, the Caribbean, North America, and Europe, tuning into various platforms now for our Monday night forum to address some of the burning issues facing Trinidad and Tobago. And tonight we come to you in a very difficult time, in a time when this country is bleeding under the burden of bad governance, of arrogant leadership, of callous leadership. This country today burns. And it is not just the country falling apart, but the government is falling apart. And tonight we report on a few matters for you in the time I have to raise a couple issues pertinent to crime, pertinent to revelations made recently on a UNC platform, and of course a few other matters I wish to raise. Brothers and sisters, to get into the issues quickly, a few days ago at a press conference in Port of Spain, I had raised matters pertaining to an April 26 judgment in the High Court of Trinidad and Tobago involving the company Namalco against what is called the Estate Management Business Development Company. And since then, we had promised that we will not only, on that occasion, we spoke, I believe, the day after the judgment. It is a 254-page judgment, and we promised that we will study it in detail and come back to you and we will give you some more detail and highlight some of the issues in what was really a complex and sophisticated type of case. So, brothers and sisters, just to give you some headline points on that. Since then, we have been hearing the government and some of their hapless spokespersons, and including one journalist, I believe, a couple of days ago in the newspaper, speaking as if this is a victory for the government and for the EMBDC, and even in declaring that there's a certain level of deceit. I have told you before that as a result of that judgment, the taxpayer may end up paying $700 to $800 million to that company from South Trinidad. I told you that. Rowley jumps up, and of course they plant their people in the press to say, hold up, the company claim 1.2 billion and they only get 427 million we save. That's like a fella who got his silver medal and declare we win. We win. We get his silver medal. Huh? In this case, brothers and sisters, what they are not telling you is that when you add the 427 million to the 200 million in interest to two other projects that the court awarded to the company but is yet to be assessed, it is about $800 million. They are so deceitful that when the company took the government to court, it was on 6 projects. The court decided that 2 of those projects, they stayed, they pushed aside. They said, listen, 2 of these projects, we're going to deal with that the next time. Let me deal with 4. So effectively, the 1.2 billion came down because 2 out of the 6 projects were not dealt with by the court. But the government is so deceitful to tell you, look, we save. Up to now, they don't know how much money they have to spend. So tonight I want to inform you, brothers and sisters, that the EMBDC, the government thinking is to shut down the EMBDC because they do not want to pay. They do not want to pay that contractor and they don't want to pay any contractor. They have spent a truckload of money of taxpayer trying to find fraud and corruption under the People's Partnership government. I told you that before. They have spent a lot. Would you believe in a Sunday newspaper article this very Sunday? Go on here. They indicated that the EMBDC, brothers and sisters, has paid so far. This is an article May 8th, I think yesterday, of course. EMBDC has paid $61 million so far in legal fees. And they are owing enormous monies. They said legal fees, but they are not talking about accountants, forensic professionals. Do you know in the judgment that the court gave, the EMBDC brought what they call expert witnesses. The court refused to hear them, to take their evidence with any weight, because they say, listen, Mr. EMBDC, you didn't tell me you had a relationship with them. How them could be expert, independent witnesses when you had a previous relationship with them? So the court refused to put any weight to the EMBDC, meaning the taxpayer-funded, quote-unquote, expert witnesses. They will not tell you that, brothers and sisters. They will not tell you about the $100 million they have spent, including these people from England. I told you about them before, from England. Imagine they hire a team from England, the famous SRP Kate. And now tonight I could tell you there's another SRP. Not Michael Jackson, but Mike Jackson. Another SRP from England they hire. All of them being paid in foreign currency to do what? Political witch hunt. I told you that they want a reign of terror. So said, so done. They interviewing everybody who under the People's Partnership would have received sponsorship. So do you know what happened now? They are so desperate, brothers and sisters. They want to interview a ladies' football club, a cricket club, a folk fashion group, a restaurant owner. Imagine a DJ. And now they're looking for a man who died 2 years ago. To interview, to know when you get a donation under the People's Partnership, where it come from, who give you, and so on. That is their desperation. It is not driven by the police in Trinidad and Tobago. The police indicated already they have no interest in that. It is driven by those people in England that the government hire as mercenary to go on a political witch hunt. And today the political leader of our great party told me, she said, Rudy, I want you to listen to Fitzgerald Hines. He had a press conference today. Brothers and sisters, I have to do it. The political leader tell me, listen, I want to tell you something. Madam Political Leader, if I have to choose between hearing Fitzgerald Hines and a root canal. I prefer the root canal. Honestly, it is less painful. I had this displeasure of listening to this clown, this hapless, hopeless, clueless, and for want of words. I heard him today, and I had to write something. I've never. This is 193 murders in this short space of time, and this clown come today to talk about this society produces killers. When you learned that last night, when you learned that citizens committing crime last night, he comes again, and he talks about rogue officers and property tax, crime created by property tax, because the opposition don't support property tax. That's Heinz today, and coming to the intelligence report just now, he said the problem is the criminal justice system, so there's the judiciary and the DPP and everybody creating this problem. He trying his best, He was deceitful. He spoke about, he said the media don't take him seriously. I wonder why. They said they don't take them seriously. He talked about a Philippine who buy land and who didn't buy land. This is a man who, there's a judgment in the High Court where he thieved a few feet of land on the ground. That isn't a judgment, I could say it. And the court ordered that he compensate a neighbor or something for stealing land, essentially. But land stealing and land grabbing is something they perfect now. Today, I had to hear him talk about land in Philippines. What about the land up in North, where a court ruled on it that you had to pay a neighbor money? Huh? You hear the hypocrisy of this man Heinz? And today we're hearing him again. He's talking about opportunity reduction and crime now is a land dispute and neighborly killing. What's a neighborly killing? If somebody kill you, you cannot be neighborly. It's a neighborly killing, familial killing. So when those things started, when probable cause and new patterns of crime, man solve the damn crime problem or get out. They're telling me about neighborly killing. And telling us, so we come to this matter now. Last week, Senator Lakshmi Dayal raised a bombshell, a revelation. When we were growing up, we hear about a famous villain named Gabbar Singh. Today, the fella, he's Grabber Singh. But this land grabbing is part of their thing. I think the Heliconia people, I don't follow nothing they do. But I think they're having a seminar on Saturday or something, and the name of the seminar is how to land grab and get away with it. I don't follow these things, but I saw that and I took note. Maybe I'll tune into that one. But these people are crazy, and there's a police report. I have it in my hand, so when they're looking, I have it too. Look at here. This is the police report, special branch. You know what Heinz saying today? When they asked him, the amazing thing about this, brothers and sisters, is that Fitzgerald Heinz and the commissioner too, they're more concerned with the leak than the land grabbing, They're more concerned with leak than WASA. They're more concerned with leak. But what about the land grabbing, the stealing of lands from the state for your personal benefit? And today, brothers and sisters, Heinz talking about the grade. Intelligence reports have grades, he said today. And this might be a lower grade. I want to tell this clueless man that when a report goes to the commissioner of police, it is the highest grade of intelligence. It is the highest. Because a commissioner don't get every rumor and piece of nonsense every day life. When a report goes to the commissioner of police, it is the highest grade intelligence in the land. So instead of Mr. Jacob telling us what they are doing, who is investigating and so on, he telling me he concerned, he frustrated, he very concerned about the leak. This is a government for 7 years telling us about whistleblowing legislation. People must come forward, protect the whistleblower. When the whistleblower comes, they want to blow you out of the sky. That is the hypocrisy. Brothers and sisters, the letter is here. Today I had cause to draft a letter in consultation with the political leader, the Honorable Mrs. Prasad Bisesa. And I have written to Mr. Keith Scotland, chairman of the Joint Select Committee on National Security, calling for an urgent meeting to discuss this matter of a cabinet minister allegedly involved in land grabbing in Trinidad and Tobago. We have written the letter. It is here. I don't have tonight the time to read it in detail, but I've called for an urgent meeting as a member of the National Security Council, JSC, to discuss this matter in the national interest and to summarize. What are they doing? This is a serious matter involving a cabinet minister. And tonight I want to tell Keith Rowley, you know, in golf, some of you may know, he has taken the length of a golf tournament since Thursday today, and he has taken a vow of silence. He hasn't spoken on this matter, the Foster report. It is either, Rowley, you got the report or you didn't. If you didn't get the report, well, so be it. But the former commissioner said you get it. If you got it, what did you do? Why did you not consider it when appointing cabinet ministers that the police has solid intelligence, the highest grade intelligence on? To hear Hines talk about high grade and low grade intelligence, what he thought it is? Weed? Low grade and high grade weed? That's what he's talking about today. That is what he was doing today, this man Hines. And I have written calling on the TTPS to appear before the Joint Select Committee on National Security. That is how serious this matter is. And we must thank the UNC and its platform for raising these issues. We must thank them. Talking about crime today, I want to remind this hapless, clueless man, brothers and sisters, you know, the biggest part of their press conference today is they have a new strategy, getting the illegal firearms off the street. Well, let me clap for that now. Big strategy, you know. Big strategy. That's the strategy, you know. And here the joke. I want to remind them in the year 2013, we in our government were able to recover 419 illegal firearms. In 2015, 634 illegal firearms. That is what we were doing. I can go all night and tell you about our achievements in dealing with crime and fighting crime. Don't have the time, of course. But tonight, before I end, I want to raise a matter with you. I want to raise a matter involving Mr. Hines. You see, today I had to sit down and hear him talk about, about corruption and so on. Pay EMBDC. Let the EMBDC pay Namalco. I want to warn you, if they don't pay Namalco, that Tobago ferry called the Galleons Passage might well become the Namalco Passage. Huh? It might be the Namalco Diplomatic Center. They will take everything away from the government with that kind of payment, brothers and sisters. You know, I want to show a picture today. This is a vehicle, right? This is a vehicle owned by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, brothers and sisters. That is a vehicle that is a bulletproof vehicle. A bulletproof vehicle owned by the Ministry of National Security. It is the official vehicle that carries the Minister of National Security. I want to ask Mr. Hines tonight, this vehicle funded by the taxpayer is assigned to you. It has undergone repairs for gunshot fire at the Army base in Camp Ogden and at Komoto. I ask the minister tonight, is a bulletproof vehicle? Answer the following questions, because today he talk about integrity and code and decency and honesty. I want to ask him tonight, was the gunshot damage inside or outside the vehicle? Was it a case of what is called negligent discharge? Now, don't misunderstand what that means. That is what, well, it's also when you fire a gun, but it's negligently discharging a firearm. Why you all laughing at that, I don't know. So, is it a case of negligent discharge? And who discharged a firearm in or around that asset? If it was a soldier, was it reported? Was the soldier suspended and relieved of his weapon? I want to put it to the national community that negligent discharge is routine in military establishments. It happens every 5-6 months and so on because of the nature. But there's a report. The soldier involved will be suspended. The firearm seized. The report is made of the round of ammunition that is discharged. Today I call on the minister, is there a report? Was the soldier suspended? Was any report made on the discharge of a round of ammunition? Has any investigation been launched into the conduct of any soldier or VIP security officer in this incident? If this was not done, why was it not done? Who committed the offense? More importantly, I ask the minister, did this negligent discharge happen inside the vehicle? Did it happen inside the vehicle? What is the cost to the taxpayer of repairing this vehicle? You know, Heinz told us once that he's not in charge of the security of citizens. It looked like he's not in charge of your own security. I asked tonight, was this reported to the TTPS? If so, when? And finally, was the life of the Minister of National Security and or any Defense Force personnel threatened by an alleged negligent discharge? That is a state asset. To fix that is taxpayers' money. All I ask Mr. Heinz tonight and the Defense Force, tell us the circumstances of a negligent discharge, either inside or outside a bulletproof vehicle owned by the taxpayer of Trinidad and Tobago. So brothers and sisters, I think I have a couple of minutes left. I would like to end, of course, before to inform you that these are very important issues that we have raised today that require answers. Our country is boiling. We cannot take much. Our people, the people of Trinidad and Tobago cannot take much. Tonight I again condemn the hate crimes committed in this country against children, but against religious institutions. Take note of what happened in Arima, Karapo, I believe, a few days ago. It is a hate crime. It is a crime that is driven by arrogance and the arrogance of the PNM and Rowley. So I thank you, look forward to speaking to you on another occasion, and God bless you all.
This revolution is about stopping this creeping dictatorship. This is the people's revolution.
Come on, people. Come on, people. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, people.
Thank you very much, MP Munilal. Our next speaker needs no introduction. A champion for sports and development of our youth in Trinidad and Tobago, and the host of the hit show, douglAR Politics. And let me tell you, people love him in St. Joseph. Please help me welcome to the platform, Senator Arnel Roberts.
Restoring our democracy. And this revolution is about stopping this creeping dictatorship. This is the people's revolution.
Come on, people. Come on, people.
Good evening. Heinz, you're following Rowley boy. Negligent discharge. Rowley negligently discharging since 69. Then coming down all over the place. Follow your leader, boy. What is the government's work? What is the work of the government? I'm asking earlier because like the mass media don't hold the PNM accountable for nothing. The PNM just come and say it have a problem. We here 7 years, the problem get worse. We ain't know what to do. And the media say, go ahead, Rowley, go and play golf and look like a hero. What is the work of the government? The work of the government, first and foremost, is to protect the most vulnerable in the society. We just recently celebrated Mother's Day. A holiday celebrated all over the world. Whether you get a holiday from work or not, mothers get a holiday. Why do we celebrate Mother's Day? Because mothers put their bodies at risk, their health and their lives on the line to bring their children into the world, to breathe oxygen, to dream dreams, to live hope, to be disciplined, to achieve and to succeed. Mothers sacrifice everything for their children. And if their children are not behaving or are at risk, mothers work 10 times harder to bring a child back on track. That's what a mother is. And that's essentially what a government should be. And that's why a government should be led by a mother. That's why Trinidad and Tobago was on such a different place under the mother, the grandmother, the wife, with all her children inside, loving and caring, and she's sacrificing for them during 2010 to 2015. But the mass media, lies, untruths, have caused, through a cheated system, controlled by the PNM, we have elected the most despicable human being in the Caribbean. And now we are the laughing stock. Every Trinbagonian who goes on a plane to go to another country now hides their passport. They hide the accent. They talk Yankee so people wouldn't know them as Trini. Because we shame. Because Rowley make we shame. The PNM, I hear Munilal talking about the Heliconia. Heliconia is PNM Foundation. They tried a fancy word for Balize. Heliconia is pure PNM, rotten PNM, disgusting PNM, drinking Balize juice. Them going to have a discussion about land grab. Well, them know about that because the PNM is about land grab, hand grab, money grab, and pom-pom grab. Rowley killed the economy, the energy sector. Rowley killed democracy. Rowley killed the very essence of being Trinbagonian. Rowley has killed hope in Trinidad and Tobago. Now Rowley is killing future generations. Imagine a scathing report, 307 pages, 1 year in the coming, given to Keith Rowley about himself, his minister at his right-hand side in his office, and the PNM government sanctioning, supporting, funding the rape, murder, battery, abuse of children. And the report sat there for 6 months as Fitzgerald, negligent discharge Hines, talks about they did it as fast as they could, allowing children to be in harm's way while they dilly-dallied. Imagine, as a parent, if you turn a blind eye when your children, for example, are stealing or quarreling or fighting, they steal a $2 from your handbag and you say that is okay, go ahead, Johnny. It will get worse. It will escalate if, as a parent, you ignore the wrongdoing of your children. To be a mother and a father requires tremendous dedication, effort, and consistency. So if a government ignores for 7 years our children and our at-risk schools and has no plan whatsoever, and the Prime Minister says, and imagine, you talk race in Trinidad and Tobago, but a wannabe black Prime Minister, black on the outside and pink and white on the inside, a double-stuffed Oreo, says to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the children are acting like hyenas in an African jungle. And you tell me that that's an okay statement? That's the most racist, vile statement in the history of politics coming out of the mouth of a man who tries his best to live amongst pink, love pink, smile with pink, and still looking just like he looking since he born. That's a sad man. That's a man who's not proud of who he is. And when he made that statement, well, Keith Christopher Rowley, according to you, the hyenas were in the African jungle. But I tell you that the hyenas have multiplied through negative discharge, negligent discharge. And we have done nothing about it because the PNM is in charge. So leave our country to go down into the pit of violence. For 7 years, school violence has been ignored. This is unacceptable. The escalation. In 2 days, over 12 videos came to me from schools across Trinidad and Tobago. Girls beating girls, stick and baton, jumping on cars, beating teachers, teachers driving in the grass and rolling the gravel, stick and knife and stabbing and beating and kicking and paralyzing students. And Rowley is silent. He only comes out to go on the golf course to tell children that sport will improve them. But he puts chamfer on sport and starves sport of funding. Kamla Prasad Bisesa injected $140 million in the NPI boat every year for sport. Rowley decreased that to $10 million. Kamla Prasad Bisesa funded football in a total way, national football, men's, women's, girls, boys, and the TT Pro League, Semi-Pro League, to a tune of over $40 million per year. That is investment in youth. Now Rowley takes it away, and our children, our footballers, our national footballers are murdered at the side of the road like dogs. And he says that sport is important because he's going to play golf with 3 children. As a parent, you go to a store with your children. They are right there with you. The store attendant rightfully and politely tells you, please stop the inappropriate action of your children. Sir, could you stop the children from opening packages and behaving and running wild? And your response to those children is, if you tell me that again, I go meet you outside on the pavement. Would your children turn out to be model citizens? Or would your children turn out to be bandits and criminals? A country follows its leader. Or you may say, you see, shop owner, the boots I'm wearing, farmers in Tobago like myself and Texas, we call these shit kickers. And I'm looking for you outside. That's your prime minister. That's who you all have holding the highest office. And telling me about Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, a woman of class, intelligence, brilliance, heart, and passion. All of you who dipped your finger for that disgusting human being who cannot even mind all his children. He have outside and inside children. He have twins that he would not even claim, and have police watching them secretly without telling the police who they're supposed to be watching. You all voted for that and then wonder why all our children are running amok. Children attacking teachers. And then we see the worst level of desecration and indiscipline, all stemming from the vile mouth of the leader of the PNM, a man who sat and drank scotch as big, strong black men dressed in red gorilla suits pulled the yellow sari and raped an Indian woman in a sports day of the PNM. And he had to be told by some members of the 1% community to apologize. And he apologized 7 days later. That's the leader. That's the message. And you wonder why children are being raped and battered. You wonder why women are being battered all over. And a sleepy man who had negligent discharge is saying that the women are using victimhood to make money so he can't catch rapists. I tell you to look for rapists. Look in the cabinet. Look left and right. You might find one or two. And we see now that the leader has sent a vile message through our country. When a citizen could take their time, premeditate, come up with a conscious plan, know enough, read enough books to understand the Hindu religion and what is sacred to the Hindu faith, and to go and purchase corned beef, take a car or maxi and go to a Hindu temple, a mandir, and cook corned beef in a sacred place. That's what the leadership has done, dividing this country, as Rowley discriminates against Hindu and Indian people, as he's discriminated against people burning their dead in open fire, because the Hindu faith believes that when you die, your spirit and your body must be separated for everlasting happy life. Rowley, with no science, discriminated against Indian Hindu people. And this country has never been divided like this. His president, who breaches the Constitution on instruction from Rowley, sits there and has a national awards and invites 27 people to be awarded, 22 African and 5 Indian, and you find that's Trinidad and Tobago. If you find that is Trinidad and Tobago, then you are a sick person and you need to go and join Hines and Rowley, because that is not how we live. We live, love, and respect one another. To those who desecrated the Hindu temple, I dare you today to buy some pork and go in Abu Bakr Mosque and cook pork there. I dare you, because you must never disrespect religion like that. This country has gone vile because we elected a vile man as a prime minister. Children in Trinidad and Tobago are under siege. We are suffering our children from child abuse, child neglect. Why? Because the leader suffered his own child since 1969. For 44 years, he ignored his child, Garta Lane. So when a leader does that, what do you think? Keith Rowley was a teacher in 1969, and he used his position of love, respect, and honor to get sex from a girl of school age. Now we see a news report that school teacher predators are on the rise. Why? Because you elected a predator. Bullying is on the rise. Crime, assaults, murders, bullying, shooting and killing. Why? Because Rowley is violent. Rowley is vile. He's disrespectful. And to Brother B, who didn't tell me when he called me to interview me on Channel 5 Tobago, you didn't tell me Rowley is your friend, Brother B. Are you disgusting like him, Brother B? Lies pervade this country. Lies across the board. Because the Prime Minister, Keith Christopher Rowley, is a pathological liar. He lied on Land 8, Renaissance, Las Alturas, 1.8 billion in HDC projects between 2004 to 2007. He lied to become Prime Minister. He lied at Calder Heart because a man didn't get a contract who he wanted. He lied on Emailgate and wasted police time for 7 years. Where's the charge, DCP Jacob? They tell me don't walk with Jacob because Jacob does walk and shake up. You come to tell us when there's a special branch report on a minister for land grabbing, you come to tell us just like Fitzgerald Hines, how Kamala get, how Jayanti get it, how the UNC get it. That what you studying, not how the man grabbing and that you should be charging him and locking him up. But you got your job because Rowley gave you a job because you did not merit the job. The PNM is not about merit. They turn scholarship into bursaries so that children are taught that they do not have to work hard and be disciplined and manage time and be intelligent. What you have to do is go and find a PNM. And if you dance like the Nobriga, if you lick hard enough, you could get through. I don't want to teach my child that. You want to perform? Perform. You earn a job, you are the best, you deserve the best. The PNM is not about that. The PNM has put everybody square pegs in round holes, and that's why nothing works in Trinidad and Tobago. And to you, the mass media, who have uplifted and maintained Keith Rowley as if he should ever be a prime minister. He goes to play a little golf on half a golf course that they spend 7 million on. He stands up and takes pictures in front of laptops. 85 laptops, not telling you who buy it and where he get it from, with his slippers and his toe jam out looking like a real clown. But he takes 160,000 laptops away from children over 7 years. That Kamala Prasad Bisesa would have had our children moving on up and we would have been the best in the world. Rowley's lies continue. There's also corruption across the board. Imagine Keith Christopher Rowley had a report from the special branch on a senator of the PNM. He holds the report, he reads the report, he screens Foster Cummins and say, Foster boy, you have a criminal allegation here, special branch looking at you. Come, my brother, you fit in nice with me. You're just like me. Come in my cabinet. Come and be an MP. And then he puts him, you know where? He puts him to be the Minister of Youth. When we have a youth delinquency problem, youth crime problem, and lack of investment in youth, you put a man who police looking for in charge of youth. Fire burn you, Keith Rowley. We must bring back Kamala. Unite. And to Botiwari, Vasan Bharat, and the other Nimakarams, go and join Keith, because you all came out through negligent discharge. God bless. Good night.
First woman Prime Minister, first woman Attorney General, first woman to chair the Commonwealth of 54 nations, first woman opposition leader. Welcome KPB Plus, solid everywhere.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all very much for joining us again. You know, before I greet everyone, I'm listening to these powerful fighters here tonight. Give them a round of applause. Every single one, UNC warriors and patriots. And I'm thinking, what can I possibly come to say now? After such firepower. And I remember many years ago when I had just started into politics. And I was on a political platform somewhere in Barataria, San Juan. And before me, many speakers. And Mervyn Assam, you remember Mervyn Assam? Powerful speaker himself. So Mervyn spoke. And when he's done, I turned to the person next to me. I said, what am I going to say? He was so powerful. I can't do better than that. And the person said to me, your name is Kamla. Be calm. So tonight, after all the firepower, I will be calm. Let's congratulate Rodney Charles, MP Padarat, Senator Anil, MP Munilal. MP has introduced a new word that Anil built upon, the negligence part of it. But I think the government is very guilty of negligence, dereliction of duty. So we'll deal with some of those issues tonight. So thank you again. Let me thank our two chairpersons, Seema, Councillor, and Munifa, who sits on our national executive. Thank you for joining us. And many of you I see in the audience as the country continues to open up. It's good to see so many of you here with us tonight. So it's good to be back again talking with you. And within the short space of time when I last spoke to you, so much has happened. So much has happened. They say a day in politics is like a year. And with each day, this government is unraveling and unraveling and unraveling until they have now taken our country, Trinidad and Tobago, is in crisis. That's where the Rowley government has taken us, in crisis after crisis. So much has happened. Murders, mayhem, child abuse, child neglect. And to top it off, as several others have spoken on it, you see a minister of government now accused of land grabbing, allegedly consorting with gang leaders, allegedly consorting with people involved in the drug trade. And this is where we've reached, and some more information will come. So let's thank Jayanti, Senator, last week for bringing that information to us. And one more proof do we need than that report to see that not only is this Rowley government allowing, but they're also encouraging and supporting criminals. Now, Anil spoke, Monilal spoke, others spoke, making the point, you had this report since 2019 on Foster. What did you do with that report? You went ahead to promote him from senator to make him a member of parliament, elected by the people. You went ahead to make him a minister in your government. And you had that report. Dr. Milal told us, Captain Griffith said he gave the report to Rowley. He had the report. He cannot plead ignorance. And you remember once he talked about who have PIP? Well, look like Rowley get PIP. Because we're not hearing a word, the man, not a word. So many things happening, the crisis in the country, and not a word from this man. So I want to tell you, if it is that Rowley government has plunged Trinidad and Tobago into a crisis and into crisis after crisis, the only one who can take you out of that crisis is the United National Congress. No other force in this country can do it. We have the support, we have the experience, we have the policies, we have the people, we have the brains, we have the ability, and we have the track record of your great party. Only the UNC can save Trinidad and Tobago at this time. So thank you, members, for sharing your issues with us. I will just deal with a few of them tonight. But first, let me remind you that only last week, The UNC celebrated our 33rd birthday, 33 years. Give our great party a round of applause. And throughout these 33 years, we have remained true to our founding principles enshrined in our Constitution. And these include to provide good government, to respect ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, to eliminate all forms of discrimination, to nurture a society where advancement is based on merit and ability, to ensure a just and equitable distribution of state resources, to foster democracy in all spheres of national life, to struggle against dictators, to promote citizen involvement, to decentralize power and decision-making, to encourage creativity, productivity, and discipline, to facilitate a higher standard of living and individual happiness for all, to promote the political, social, and economic development of all the people of TNT. In addition to this, the UNC has done more for developing TNT than any other organization in our country. We look at the infrastructure. We look at our excellence in education for all. We look at the work done by Anna Roberts in sports. All these facilities that we developed, built, not just to grow our youth and our sportsmen, but also to bring in money with sports tourism. We did that. Our facilities in the medical sector, the hospitals, the health centers, we had a great thing going, but somebody put God out of their mind, and some persons, and we got the result that we saw in 2020. So we have broken so many social barriers in the UNC and for our country. And I say again, the UNC is the only party that was able to achieve all of this. And why? Because of all of you. United, we will always conquer. I want to thank all of our loyal members for standing with the UNC and staying firm and strong. So let's talk about our children's violence report. Many of you have spoken of it. And we must never, ever forget it. We must never, ever let them sweep it under the carpet. Because this is something that is so dear to our party. And indeed, personally, very dear to me, the children of our country. That has always been our priority. Children first. Always, always, always. And so, whether it was the Children's Life Fund, for the years we were there, when we were in government, we took money out of our own salary packages and gave it to the Children's Life Fund. You remember that? Now you have children dying, children suffering, because they cannot seem to be able to find a way to help these children with Life Fund. Our laptop program, I was always proud. You know, we got praised. When I went up to the United Nations meetings, Rodney, you will remember when we were there, we met with then Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. You forgot to mention him. And he gave us great compliments because of the laptop initiative. We got great compliments. But Trinidad and Tobago was one of the only countries in the world, in the world, that was carrying out the Millennium Development Goals with respect to education. Small Trinidad and Tobago, but great in heart and great in soul and great in spirit. So we have always held the children there. When it came to textbooks, Tim Gopi Singh will tell you how many textbooks we gave to children. It came to the school meals. This government has squashed all of those. And this bold-faced, brass-faced Lion Rowley will come to say that he never says stop laptop. I heard him saying something about there was some education expert who said it wasn't serving purpose. And the man so hypocritical to line up as a computer on the ground, as Anil told you, to say he giving out laptops. When every child in this country got a laptop from us, everybody. And our plan, our policy was to move to the primary schools, that we would give the tablets to the children there. We would have had a world-class education sector with world-class educated children. But they are so visionless because they don't care, I think they really do not care. They don't care. They just care about themselves, their friends, their family, and their finances. So when, under Rowley, they have turned our country into a hellish disaster. It used to be a beacon of light and protection for children, all of that gone. And that's why I say that really hurts us so much, because we always said children first. Remember my motto then, ours? Not a child must be left behind. Do you all remember that? Not a child must be left behind. And we did not leave the children, none. Placed them in schools, gave them the resources, and even then we had begun to do special testing for special children. You all may not realize how many children in this country have special needs. And that's why we begun all of the special testing for children, even for just a simple thing as wearing glasses. You say, child doesn't see at the same child can't see properly. Those were the screening things that we were doing under this government. None of that is happening. And so last year in March, you all will remember the story of 5 boys who ran away from the authorities' care facility. According to a report that was laid in the Parliament, many of us have talked about it before, the former director of the Children's Authority, Nicola Harvey Mitchell, you know who she is? She was a nominee to contest a seat for the PNM in one of the Port of Spain seats. She was a PNM nominee. She became the director of the Children's Authority. And you know what that report tells us? Laid in the Parliament of all places. So who wants to talk about, what is it, Rudy? High intelligence report or low intelligence report? Well, this is a real high-grade report laid in the Parliament last week. And in that report, they said this lady in charge of the Children's Authority, what did she do when those boys disappeared? She called a notorious gang leader named Anton Bombay Boney to find them. Can you imagine that? And could you believe that? That is beyond insane in my view. That is beyond shameful. 2 of those teenagers, one 15, one 16, were discovered after, they were? Murdered. God rest their souls. God rest their souls. And according to the report in the Sunday Express, titled House of Horrors, the Children's Authority, the same PNM nominee, Nicola Harvey Mitchell, she was to contest a seat in the general election. So what did you do? I think Anil mentioned it before, but you put your friend, you put your family, you put your... Talk about Heliconia. The guy there in charge of that was a PNM councillor. Now they're masquerading like they're an NGO. And how can you seriously put the name of whatever it is you're going to do next week? How to what? How to land grab and get away with it? Are you for real? Are you serious? How to land grab and get away with it? And you have a minister, Cummins, I think, and Minister Becker's going down there with his former PNM councillor in charge of the Heliconia to go and tell people how to land grab and get away with it. Shame! Disgraceful! These people have absolutely no care for anything. And then those 2 ministers have nothing to do with lands. If they come to tell us now, oh, we're going to see about land tenure for farmers and so on. But where the minister who in charge of land for farmers? Where's Kazim? Isn't he the new lands minister? So what Miss Becker is going down there to do? Good girl, I always say, nice person. And what is this alleged land grabber himself, Foster, going there to do? How to land grab and get away with it in bold black letters. Shameless government, I tell you. So this same report, I'll come back to it. It also adds, investigators found an abusive and arbitrary environment at the CSC where private security officers with no training in dealing with children were allowed to control and discipline children. When children complained they were being abused, reports were biased towards the staff's version of events, and their reports were not taken seriously. You remember Sanjay Naked? Many times on the UNC platform and elsewhere, talked about the abuse of children. Nobody listened. We talked about it for years. Barry Paddard has raised this matter in the Parliament on numerous occasions. Nothing happened. But the report continues, I'll tell you. And quote, the fact that the residents were in the care of the state, and specifically the Child Support Center, makes the failure to analyze the files of the boys in a coordinated matter negligence, which resulted in the death of the 2 boys. This is shameful, a disgrace. And you know, this report with these very serious findings, JJ, can you believe? I see her mom is here with us tonight again. Can we welcome her? I'm always happy to see her. We missed you, mums. Welcome back to us. And so, this report, when did Miss Webster Roy get it? December. Last year. And which ministry does she work in? She is in the office of the Prime Minister. So the office of Keith Rowley and Ayanna Webster Roy got this report December last year. What did they do with the report? They hid the report. Tell nobody nothing, do nothing. What they say, hear no evil, see no evil. Comes 5 to 6 months later to drop it in the Parliament. And then when MP Padarat asks questions and say, well, okay, you have this report. You had it so long. All these recommendations, what have you done? What have you done to implement any of the recommendations? The answer was, well, we're given so much $1 million to do this, that. The point is nothing. Hold it for 5 months to 6. Nothing was done with such a damaging report. Okay, somebody sent me a note. They said the Heliconia graphic was photoshopped. It is not about land grabbing, but about land tenure. My points still hold. My points still hold. My points still hold. What is Cummins going to tell you about land tenure? He can't even show documents about which land he have or don't have. What is Ms. Beckers going to tell you about land tenure? So thank you for the heads up. But I'm still right in my comments to you all here tonight. So back to this infamous children's homes report. So the holding from last year, you come 5 months, you can't tell us anything you do that you will implement. And they set up a task force. And how many weeks? They say 6 weeks, I think, Barry. Was it 6 weeks here? 6 weeks, they'll tell you what they're going to do. In the meantime, what's going on inside them? You know, even though they recommended certain homes be closed immediately, has not happened. Has not happened, still open. So what is going on there? That report, I will tell you, in that report, there are 307 pages. Do you know in that report, there were 267 instances of the word sexual being used with respect to abuse. And there were 286 instances of the word sex. So put the two together, sexual, 286. I'm sorry, 267. They always tell me don't do maths on the platform. I'm good at languages, but you see, adding a thing, I need a little computer on the... So you can help me with it. 267 with the word sexual. And there were 286 with the word sex. So that's 245. Over 500 instances in this report where these words are being used. And you hold on to that report and you will not carry out, at least close the ones where the suspicions are, recommendations are made for the time being until you can do something further. And so the Prime Minister and Webster Roy did nothing. They sat on this horrendous, scandalous report relating to our children. For months. Now, they want to make it public now with nothing to be done. But we need justice for those 2 boys who were found murdered. We need justice. We demand justice for the abused children. We demand justice and we want answers. What kind of society are we turning into when we just turn a blind eye to the murder of children? Well, I think Anil he gave us the answers where it came from. Despite the fact the report was complete in December, as I say, they held on to it, and so we can only conclude, this lady now wants to come and cry crocodile tears. She's in tears. I don't want tears, madam. I want justice for the children who have been abused. We want action. So stay home and cry and let somebody do the job who can do the job. Just go. This is scandalous, and it's a dereliction of duty because we are dealing with the most vulnerable in our country. We are talking about our children. So, madam, stay home and cry, I repeat, and get somebody who could do the job. Just go, and all of you should just go. All should go. They should go. Murder and mayhem in the country. Murder and mayhem, and Heinz Bunilal told us what you said? Oh gosh, right. Okay. I will say that, I'll leave that for Anil. Anil could talk about that. So, murders and mayhem, and this clown, today is there with press briefing. I didn't really listen to it, but I got some little notes and I heard you. I think you dealt with him well. You pung him down to the ground. Hines must go. He must go. He must go. And the thing is, this man, Hines, I think this is really another scandalous, shameful, tells the parliament that victims of sexual assault and of rape, that they profit in. It's a shame. You want to tell me any victim of rape, any victim of sexual offense will collude with the criminal, with the offender? That's what you come in to tell the parliament, man? That is what you come in to tell the country? Well, I think that's beyond sick. Beyond sick, and that's why I say, for that and many other reasons, Hines must go. He must go. He must go. Well, I come into him just now. Don't worry. So these serious crimes he's talking about. And therefore, every time he speaks now, he has nothing to say about how they will deal with the crime. Nothing, absolutely nothing. They have no policies and programs. And during our time, you remember, you talked, I think MP Munilal talked about how we got all these illegal guns. In fact, we got help from the United Nations. They brought a special kind of machine here based on our asking and working to destroy, when we collected the illegal guns, for them to be destroyed. You remember that, Brother Charles? You had helped us with the UN to get that facility. And this is a man, when he was in opposition, running up and down the country, condemning the then government, our government. This is what he said in 2012. If the government cannot deal with crime, then the government itself is a part of the problem. If the government cannot deal with crime, then the government itself is part of the problem. So today you had 7 years, Rowley, and you and your ministers are all parts of the problem. You cannot solve it. So much so you have a report on one of your people, as I said before, and you didn't say, hold on, wait, pause for a cause. You went and put the man as an MP and made him a minister. Promoted him. You have been chair of the National Security Council. He loves to boast of that, You realize every time he speaks, he says, well, I am the chair of the National Security Council. But when it really matters, where are you? I told you before he get pipped, the man get pipped, he will not speak. In spite of all these atrocities, not a word from the Prime Minister of this country in such a time of crisis. Over 3,000 people have lost their lives under your watch, man. Over 3,000. And what is your answer? You send that clown Hines. I think that fella failed in every ministry they ever put him in. And in school, Anil is telling me. And in school. Look at the murders there. Look at the graph. Every time the PNM is in power, crime goes up. The crime goes right up. Escalates every single time. The evidence is there. According to your own words, you cannot deal with crime. And so you and your government, you're all part of this problem. And tonight, I tell you, under the UNC, both times when we were in government, under Mr. Pandey, and when I was there as your Prime Minister, this was the only time that serious crimes, murders, actually went down over the term of office. So in 1994, before Mr. Pandey's government with all of us came into office, we inherited the murder rate from the PNM, 143. The UNC brought it down to 93. In 2009, before my watch, our watch, the UNC inherited a murder rate from the PNM was 509. We were able to bring it down to 352 in our first 2 years in office. I was in both governments, and I know it can be done. We can bring down the crime. What did we do? We appointed competent ministers, not the incompetent clowns like Hines and so on. I would never appoint someone like Fitzgerald Hines. Never. We appointed people like Brigadier Sandy, Captain Gary Griffith, competent and experienced persons. They were there as ministers of national security. On top of that, we had policies, as I said, implemented policies to work on bringing the crime down. And I always said, you have to have a holistic approach in the fight against crime. It cannot just be that you go and try and take illegal guns off the streets, as I told us today, because you cannot do it. You've been there 7 years. Have you brought in any illegal guns? You're too busy running down the legal guns. Too busy running down legal guns and report and all kinds of things happening that you can't bring in any illegal guns. That's your only fight? Your only policy, your only program to fight it? No, no, no. Holistic approach. You have to fight it from, first of all, from the prevention aspect. And this is where it's upraising and upbringing and nurturing of our children is of such vital importance. You start from then, prevention. So you don't wait till you detect the crime, oh God, but you have a problem with detection too. I see somebody boasting they have solved a few murders. I really don't know. Today, said they solved some murders and so on. Over 3,000 murders in a little country like this. Detection. When you finish with detection, you know what you have to do? Okay, we find out somebody died, murdered, sorry. What's your next step? Conviction. That's the courthouse. Well, the court system is so bogged down. And I'll tell you what a judgment tonight. You know why? That Faris Al-Rawi is one of the biggest, dunsiest lawyers we've ever had. And I'll come back to that in a moment. I'll come back to it. And so, after detection, conviction, and then there's still something to do, you know. So first you have prevention methods. Then something happens, detection comes after it happens. So prevention before, we try to do things to prevent it. And we could give you details, we shared it before. Detection, go to courthouse, conviction, and you still have to work. Rehabilitation. Rehabilitation, because we are all human beings. You've served your time. We have to have policies and strategies for rehabilitation. So our programs worked. We were able to bring the crime down, as all the numbers will continue to show. That is the evidence. And don't come and ask me for evidence. It is there for but all those who have eyes to see will see. The evidence is there in black and white. So let's talk about courthouse now. Courthouse. Let's talk about the court system in this country and to see how it is that this PNM takes care of its own. What is the word, Arnold? Cosa Nostra? Cosa Nostra is a mafiosa government you have. Mafiosa government. There's a very disturbing matter I want to raise with you now. It involves a court judgment dated 18th March 2022, just a short while ago, this year. 18 March 2022, a judgment by the Honorable Mr. Justice Mohammed. Now, I have to take you back because the judgment concerns things that happened prior to March of this year. On the eve of the general elections in 2010, jobs were given to 3 people. This is what the court judgment is about. One of them was Mr. Ashton Ford. You all remember him? A former General Secretary of the PNM. They appointed him on the eve of the general election in 2010 as an attaché to the High Commission in London. Plum job again, PNM friends and family and so on. The second person they appointed was Elvin Edwards. He was a former PNM mayor of Arima. They appointed him as an attaché to the High Commission in Canada. And the third person, Andrea Chambers Wilson. Do you know who she is? She's a daughter of former Prime Minister George Chambers. She was appointed as attaché to the United Nations in New York. So all these 3 PNM bigwigs, what do you call them? Hefes, that's the word? Oligarchs. Or PNM, in all these 3 high commissions. And when did it happen? On the eve of the 2010 general elections. That's important to remember. This is very important. After we won the election in May 2010, we changed up those persons. Because that is the convention. When a new government takes place, you move out the others and you put your own appointees. Ronnie Child knows that. Soon after we lost the election, what happened, Rod? When did they move you out? All had to resign, all. One time, all. And so, it was a custom, that is the practice, that's the convention for these persons to demit office, leave office on the change of government. They were hired, you must remember, and why that is so is because they were hired based on hand picking. It's not like you advertise for them and they go through a process and they're hired. Hand pick. The positions were never advertised. They served at the pleasure of the sitting government. Do you understand what that means? They serve at the pleasure of a sitting government. Happens all the time. And therefore, when that government is no longer there, you serve at the, you're no longer, you are dismissed at pleasure. That's what they say in the law, dismissed at pleasure. So around June 2010, so remember we came into government May of 2010. In June, my government indicated to 3 persons that their services were no longer required. They were terminated. On 10th June 2014, so 2010 terminated. 10th June 2014, the 3 of them decided to sue the government in the High Court for breach of contract. The then government, we were in government in 2014, we filed an appearance, entered an appearance in the matter, giving notice that the government intends to challenge the claim brought by these 3 persons. On the 30th of January 2015, the government filed a defense on behalf of the government through the Office of the Attorney General, and that was when we were still there. That defense was thereafter amended March 2015 before we left office. Take the timeline. It is very important. My government had all intention of defending the state from the court matter brought by Ford and the other 2 persons, because we knew that there was a good and successful defense against this claim. However, when Farris came in as AG, when the government changed, that same crooked Farris, who got fired, he has all these matters being investigated against him. Crooked Farris Alwari, I call him. The matter was still ongoing in the courts. Witness statements had to be filed by the claimants, Ford and Chambers and the other person, Elvin Edwards. And they had to file witness statements to prove their claim. The Attorney General, still then, Farris Alwari, he would have been required to file witness statements to defend the claim on your behalf, taxpayers' behalf, against them. I have a copy of the judgment here with me. The judge stated at paragraph 6 of the judgment that witness statements were filed by the claimants, Ford and Edwards. So it is disturbing and alarming, but again, it's not surprising. Farris, as AG, and the lawyers of the AG's office did not file any witness statements. No witness statements, none whatsoever. Was this done on purpose? No statements filed, so you have no evidence on behalf of the government and the taxpayers in this matter. The P&M government filed no evidence to defend the claim. After we had filed a defense, the P&M government did not file a single witness statement. Not one, sell out. And it doesn't end there. The trial was held on the 15th May 2019. Who was the AG? Farris Alwari. The judge in the judgment reported to TNT that the AG office did not appear in the matter and was not represented. So they did not file witness statements, and they didn't even go to court to defend the matter. They were not represented. The taxpayers, the state, the AG's office, they were not represented in the courthouse. And you know what happens? Well, it's true the case, obviously. If you have nothing against the claim, you throw away the case. That's what you did. The court had no choice but to take the evidence of Ford and Edwards in the matter. And no matter how faulty that may have been, how good our defense was, didn't count because we had no witness statements. We did not appear. We filed no submissions. When I say we, you, the taxpayers, the lawyers on behalf of you did not represent you in this matter. The government provided no evidence. They did not show up in the courthouse on the day. They didn't know with, submissions, legal submissions. That is a total dereliction of duty. That may well be misbehavior in public office. And it may well be. It's not the first time we've seen this type of behavior. It's not the first time where they continue to favor friends and withdraw cases and claims because they did not defend the claim. Ashton, Ford, and Edwards, you know how much money the court awarded them? $2.65 million. And that will count with interest and damages and so on. $2.65 million. It does not end there, you know. Do you know who was a lawyer represented Ford and Edwards? Take a guess. The personal attorney of the Honorable Prime Minister, Kwame. Personal friend and lawyer of the Prime Minister, Kwame. So that this was a win by default in the court. No witness statements, no submissions, no appearance on the date of the hearing. So they go through this $2.65 million plus interest. So PNM versus PNM. So PNM, obviously, won. TNT lost. I informed that when Faris, upon coming into power, directed this particular brief be returned from the lawyers represented the state. Remember I told you in our government, we had lawyers represented the AG's office and the taxpayers. When Faris came into office, he told them, return the brief. Return the brief. But then he did not appoint any other lawyers to do it. And nobody from the AG's office went to represent, even though there was a name on record. When you look at the pleadings, some lawyer from the AG's office. Nobody came. Nobody cared. No person. So it's friend helping friend through the courts. And as I say, there will be others like this I'll share with you. But will the AG's office now appeal this matter on behalf of your taxpayers' dollars? We wait to see. Total dereliction of duty. Remember the AV drilling matter? When the arbitration went before wherever and it was determined to pay millions to this AV drilling, the lawyer, the senior counsel representing the government, represented Petrotrain, well, the successor company to Petrotrain, headed by whom? The same Kwame. The lawyer, Deborah Peake, said, hey, take it to the court. Asked the court to strike down this arbitration award because there was good evidence. They did not take it. Millions of dollars, friends, family, and financiers. And then you remember, when it comes to people who deserve justice and compensation, this wicked and evil government, rowdy government, they will fight you down tooth and nail. I want you to remember recently, children who were mistreated at a home, they were burnt with cigarettes, they were abused. It was a horrific case. And you know, I was very disturbed when that case went to court. They went and they sued the AG for damages. They were able to win in the court, these children, through their guardians' parents. They were awarded $200,000 in damages. I'm glad for them, but guess what? It doesn't repair the damage. Do you know what Faris did? He appealed the case. But he wouldn't go for higher court for the AV drilling arbitration. Let's see what he does in this matter of Ford and Edwards and others against the AG on the attaché jobs and so on. He appealed that. He appealed that, poor children. And now we get this report telling us about the abuse and horror taking place at these homes. So he appealed that. So PNM friends, they get away. This case, 2.6 million, and many others. And don't forget there are several, several others like these. The one relating to AV drilling. Malcolm Jones, you remember Malcolm Jones? Then there is this latest one now, I read it over the weekend, Schoon. You remember Schoon with the pleasure boat issue? I'm reading that they went to court and the court struck down some kind of a warrant. But you know what I'm told? Again, the state did not appear and made no representation. The state did not appear, meaning the government, did not appear in the matter. The Newsday article, Judge quashes police warrants in Adrian Schoon party probe. This is reported in a matter where Faris again was deeply involved with phone calls and so on. This was the son of PNM Minister Gopi Schoon, Ocean Pelican scandal. This time Schoon is suing the state. So guess what's happening? I read what the article says. Rahim gave his decision as a judge in the absence of submissions or a defense from the JP or the Solicitor General. Again, absence of submissions or a defense from the government. Again, they had a deadline of Thursday to respond to school's lawsuit, and they failed and are neglected so to do. Dereliction of duty. In his order, Rahim noted the two parties had been served with proceedings, but failed to attend court on any of the occasions in the matter. Any time the matter was called to lead evidence and mix up, they never came. Dereliction of duty, misbehavior in public office. You call it what it is, but again, friends and family, another matter of the sort. The Solgen is under the AG's office. Why did the Solgen or representatives did not attend court? Why no representative of the AG and therefore yours of the state of the taxpayer did not go to court? And this matter is thrown out. Was it because this is the son of a minister? We have to ask these questions. What is interesting, the warrant that was under question was to get the cell phone of Mr. Schoon. To get the cell phone, to be able to get phone records. Yes, phone. And we heard reports that on the night, it is alleged that Mr. Schoon called Ferris. You all remember that? He called Ferris. Called Ferris. If the court now, yes, it was logged in a police report in a station. So now the court sets aside the warrant that evidence from the cell phone will not be able to be used in the court. So is this again another case of friends and family helping your friends Cosa Nostra? Is this another example of this? So, as I said before, it's a mafiosa government with their Cosa Nostra code. And this it is where every time it's one of their own. They said it. The PNM takes care of their own. Don't forget Malcolm Jones, I said it before. Following the pattern, same with Malcolm Jones' scandal. That matter was withdrawn by the Rowley PNM when my government sued Jones to recover $1 billion of your dollars. When they came into office, what did they do? Withdrew the matter. Moving along, Ken Julian and ETEC. Farris withdrew the matter against Ken Julian and the PNM board of ETEC. My government sued Julian and ETEC to recover $35 million of your tax money from the failed bamboo investment deal. The matter went all the way to the British Council and we won the case. But when the Rowley government came, they withdrew the matter. Did not pursue it. Can you imagine that? So these are several, and there'll be many more. Time will not permit us to go through all of them. But here it is where you're using your position to aid and abet your friends and your family and your financiers in the courts of law. In the courts of law. And so I'm asking you again, are you going to appeal the decision with Ashton Ford and Mr. Edwards with respect to the judgment of Justice Rahim? And then we have the police investigation into Foster Cummins. I wouldn't say much more about that because we made heavy weather out of this matter, except to say we got some further information. So I just have some questions to ask based on the further information. Dealing with that special branch report Janti shared with us last week, reference 105/4/2, bracket T, :57, 2019. Questions based on that report. It is alleged that PSL and CEL have been awarded several contracts through HDC for the upkeep of its HDC vacant properties located in Couva and Chaguanas. Secondly, it is alleged PSL and CEL have both employed one Kida Hercules as a subcontractor for several sites in the Couva area, although he is not the owner of a registered business. 3, it is alleged Hercules is reportedly a reputed drug dealer as well as a leader of a gang known as a Railway Road Gang. Are these things true, Foster? I call upon you to answer. Are these things true? It is alleged that Kida Hercules runs a brisk cocaine, guns, and ammunition trade on behalf of the said Foster Cummins. Is that true, Foster? Tell us if that's true. Tell us. It's alleged that Foster is the Kida Hercules person, is alleged, is in charge of several gangs situated in Couva, Point Lisas area. Is that true? It is also alleged that some of the business of selling cocaine, guns, and ammunition is transacted through Club Deja Vu in Couva. Is this also true? It is alleged that Minister Cummins has a connection with this club. Is that true? It is also alleged that Cader Hercules is sent as enforcer to acquire state lands on behalf of Foster Cummins. Is that true? It is alleged that current owners or occupiers are offered a peppercorn rate to vacate lands, and if they refuse, thuggery and harassment is used to remove them. Is this true, Foster? It is alleged that no member of the TTPS assigned to the Couva station can touch Foster Cummins because they stand the risk of being transferred. Is that true? It is further alleged that raids on the gangs situated on the railway road Couva are not successful because they get tipped off. Is that true? Remember you told me tip it off is a crime some time ago, yeah? Is that true? It is also alleged that Cader Hercules uses a local government vehicle with blue lights to transport guns and ammunition to buyers. Is that true? Does Foster know a person called Big Shane? Do you know him, Foster? An employee of the Couva Tabaki Talpara Regional Corporation. And that he drives the vehicle, that same local government vehicle, and delivers. Is that true? Does Foster know a Mr. Dirk Williams, who is also an alleged subcontractor for Fiscal? And is he allegedly involved in illegal transactions? It is simply unimaginable, unfathomable, that given these revelations, that Cummins can still be holding his positions without any explanations. When we raised it, should I raise it right here? He came and he used the anthem. Remember, he said every creed and race finds an equal place and bring evidence. Well, Shanti brought evidence. Yeah. Camille come and make one long story, whatever. Nonsense. All of that. And you have all of this. And you cannot get anything making sense from anyone in national security, from the Prime Minister, from the Minister of National, and from Foster himself. And he was promoted, yes, and Rowley promoted him. I want to tell you, well, the amount of whistleblowing now, I hear Rodney begging for whistles to land up in his mailbox. A lot of whistles. And then they want to blame the whistleblower and blame us where they leak and who leak it and so on. I think Mulilal put it nicely, more leaked than Wassa, is that what he said? A lot of people are coming forward because people are totally disgusted and fed up with this incompetent, evil government. People are totally fed up. But again, I would never have tolerated ministers like that. Arnold knows that. When allegation was made, Arnold came. He said, Prime Minister, I will step down and clear my name. He did that. He went to court and cleared his name. Never would have tolerated, but then, this is, as I say, Cosa Nostra, mafiosa government. They keep each other's secrets. Rowley boasted on the platform. Do we have the clip, please? Yes, the code of secrecy. But can we continue? And when you get it? You found it? Well, I'll continue, and when we get to replay it for you. So you have here now credit card Camille, WPC, under investigation. We have Faris needing to answer the Integrity Commission. Also, he has to answer the TTPS about that car transferred to his friend, Kewal Singh. And no records of anything. By the way, Acting Commissioner of Police Jacob, what has happened with that probe that we wrote to you about? First you said you were waiting on me to tell you who is some lady, who Faris used as an agent to go to the license office. So I've told you clearly I don't know the person. It is Faris who said, hey, this lady, I sent her with a letter to transfer the vehicle. So what has happened since then with that investigation? Well, let's see the code. You'll have the code, Rowley, and his secrecy code.
A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy. A code, a mafia.
Yeah, yes. So you have the others as well, as I said, WPC credit card, Camille, Faris about the car, and many other matters. You have Stuart Young's former stepdaughter arrested for possession of marijuana and cocaine and firearms. So is the code of secrecy extended to all his friends and family, finances? At the same time this is happening, you have cabinet ministers recusing themselves over 210 times for the cabinet. Never happened in the history of this country. 210 recusals and more. And why? Because of a conflict of interest. Each time they recuse themselves is because somebody going and make money. Some family going and make money 210 times. They stand to benefit. This has never happened before. But again, Rowley doesn't care that a member of his cabinet is under police investigation for alleged misuse of public funds and association with a known drug dealer. So, Minister Cummins, we wait to hear from you on some of these further bits of information we've got. Now, the Auditor General has put out her report, their department has put out their latest report, I think it was last week in the Parliament, Dhaka? Last week, Friday in Parliament. And it is a very frightening report. I know time is against us, but just to let you know that the level of debt has escalated and gone way out of whack. That report is for the fiscal year ended September 2021, last year, okay? They closed the year off, auditor did the audits. And when we looked at the report, a very disturbing picture of the state of our economy, concerns about the failure of several government ministries to account for millions of dollars they've been spending. That account is the bank account of the Consolidated Fund. In September 2015, that will be when we were last there, the overdraft was $33.4 billion. Do you know how much it is now on that 2021 report? $42.6 billion. In their 6 years, they've taken it from $33.4 billion to $42.6 billion. You know what that means? This government is bankrupt. The overdraft is when you don't have money, you borrow, you go to the bank and you get an overdraft. So they've taken your overdraft to $42.2 billion. As I said, when we were last there, 33 billion, they've gone to 42 billion. When we look at the public sector debt, we know the government's biggest economic failure, they have created no new revenue streams, no new money coming in, nothing. And when we look at this, they have sabotaged sport and medical tourism plans, I mentioned it before. They fail to maintain the various sport, educational, hospital facilities, because the way they deal with running a country is to borrow, sell off state assets like fire sales, raid the HSF, and tax. That's the way they get money. They're worse than pipers. That's how they're getting money to run the country. Borrow, sell off state assets, and I think Barry mentioned about some sale of some TSTT assets, if I'm not mistaken. Raid the HSF, tax. So their wild borrowing has brought this public debt. That is your debt, understand it, Don't think it's something in a book somewhere, it's abstract from you. It is your debt. That is your money. They've brought that to TT $141 billion. You are owing, yes, you, citizens of this country, $141 billion based on the borrowings of this wicked spendthrift government. $141 billion as of September 2021. When we come this year, we'll see how much more that has gone. So that the Auditor General cautioned that this figure does not include the millions owed to public servants. So it's 141 billion and counting. All these wage negotiations they have not completed. I don't think they've completed one wage negotiation. Is that true? Huh? Oh, they're busy in courthouse, yes. They will not settle these. We settled, I said, over 143 wage negotiations when we were in office. We did that. And so $141.8 billion in debt. On top of that, they have to pay charges on account of the debt. So the money that they're borrowing, do you know what's going on right now? The money that they're borrowing is just to pay debt. So you're borrowing more and more and more, and you have to pay more and more debt, but you can't use the money for development. You can't use the money to build schools. You can't use the money to buy laptops. You can't use the money to buy medicines. To develop infrastructure. No. You just keep borrowing. I say it's worse than pipers. Borrowing to pay loans, to pay the debt, to pay the loans. And there were more things in this auditor report, which we'll deal with on another time, where ministries are spending millions, but they fail to account to the Auditor General to show the invoices, to show the contracts, to show the documents, to prove that this money was actually going where. But the one that struck me was when it came to COVID relief. And I'll have to leave that for another time, as Mr. Jack Warner used to say, not tonight, another night, with the COVID relief through regional corporations. And I want to tell you, I am proud of the UNC corporations. Because the UNC corporations showed very clearly that they could account for the monies that was given to them to spend. Take a bow, UNC councillors, UNC corporations. And when you come to look at the Arima Borough Corporation, Port of Spain, Point Fortin, the P&M corporations, the auditor said that they failed to provide documentation requested for tens of thousands they spent on laptops and other things for saying it was COVID relief. So I think we can stand UNC and proud tonight of our performance at the local government. As I close, I say again, I am UNC and proud. We have begun to cement our legacy in the history and the firmament of Trinidad and Tobago. After 33 years, we are more united than ever before, stronger than ever before. The UNC will continue to take the fight to this wicked and evil PNM regime, the Rowley PNM government, in Parliament, outside the Parliament, in communities, on the airwaves, radio, newspapers, TV, social media. And remember, victory will soon be ours. A brighter day is right around the corner. The sun will rise again. I bless you and thank you very much.